Hello, hello. What's happening, people? My name is Lewis Lee from All Ends Media, and you are now playing in traffic. This is a show where we talk cars, boats, motors, anything you put gas in. So, if you're on the YouTube channel, please hit like, share, and subscribe. We'll be appreciated. What's up? Who's in the chat room? We got Papa Squirrel, Jim. How's it going, guys? We got Brian in the house. Mr. Mike. Ray be heading in a second. So hey guys, hey Ray.
I told you. What did I say? Mark my words. Every time I fill in for you, the next week my video doesn't come on. I said it last week.
Yep, you sure did.
It's the curse of filling in for you. You got big shoes, brother. Let me tell you. I don't know if I can do it anymore. I just.
Hey, no, listen. You guys did a great job, man. I went back through it, man. You guys had a good time, huh?
Well, let me tell you, when you have a good guest, host of the show is a no-brainer. The guest does the work. That's if you're a smart host.
Yeah, right. Ain't that the truth?
Right.
Jeanette's on fire, man. She's really good people.
Absolutely.
Her and Dina.
Yeah, absolutely. Very true. Very true. Let me see. I forgot how. Let's see what I can do to do this. Let's check the camera mic. Okay, the microphone is good. Yes, we know that.
I'll tell you what, your audio is great.
Yeah, mic is solid, but why isn't it? Toggle mic. No. So how was your trip back home?
It was good. Me and the wife, we had no schedule. We left Terry's and we went to Hershey, PA.
Oh, cool.
And we stayed there a night. Then we took the tour to Hershey. It's pretty cool. I love that history of that kind of stuff, man. It's just really exciting.
Yes.
To see how things became. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Yep. So we hit a couple antique stores and worked our way back to Ohio.
Nice.
It was a good trip. How
long did it take you to get back home?
Well, it's 6 hours from here to Terry's house.
Okay.
So on the way there, we stopped at Lewisburg, and they had like 10 antique stores there, big antique stores, like shopping malls.
There we go.
So we hit a couple of them, and we stayed there overnight. Then we hit Terry's. So we just took our time. It was no rush.
Let me tell you, when Terry sent me that text and said, "Ray, let me in for a second. Let me in. I got a surprise for you." It could have been a cannoli. It could have been. It could have been, a cheesecake. And then bang, there's your face. I was like, "Oh shit!" That was great. That was great.
Yeah. We had a good time, man. Terry, really good host. He took care of us, fed us.
Sure. Did he play the drums for you?
No, we didn't get to that.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, real nice trip, man. It was laid back, Now
you're sporting a caddy now, huh?
No, that's the wife's caddy. I'm allowed to drive it every once in a while.
Nice. Did you take that for the trip?
No, we took my truck because
I had the hood. Yeah,
I had Terry's hood. Yep.
Right. Wow, that's cool. That's great that you do that. Road trips are the best thing in the world. The best memories.
Yeah,
it's all good. Very, very good.
Yeah, I went to Chicago the week before, and I slipped in and out real fast. I went early in the morning, so the thugs were still asleep. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah. Not up in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, you get the leftovers. You get, from like the 4 a.m. crowd. You may get a few, 6 o'clock, but that's about it.
Yeah, you run into them at the gas station.
But they're too tired to do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a good trip.
Right. It's so cool. I know from here only because I got stuck there in just outside Toledo in a town called Maumee. I know it's 600 miles from there to my house.
Oh yeah.
Because I clocked it on the way back, but yeah.
Yeah, well, Youngstown is exactly the same amount of miles from Chicago to New York, like in between. We're in between.
Okay.
So all the mafia from each town used to come here and meet for meetings.
Right.
So a lot of them ended up moving here, and we were called Little Chicago back in the day.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that. I watch a lot of that stuff on TV, the history stuff, and I watch a lot of mob stuff, and they do mention that they'll throw the Ohio mention in there, and I know that even if they're just saying the word, it's got to be significant enough that I mean, it's got to be on another scale. It's huge, but for them, it's just like a mention, and I know that when they're mentioning it, it's real, it's significant.
Well, on Goodfellas, when they relocated the guy at the end of the movie.
Right.
They relocated him. When he goes out on the porch to pick up the newspaper, it's the Youngstown Vindicator.
No fooling.
Yeah.
Oh crap! I figured that was somewhere in Arizona or something.
No, it was here in Youngstown.
Like around, like there was no, there was no grass or nothing. It looked like they just made a new development or something.
Yep.
Wow.
And do you remember on Sopranos when what's the guy's name with the white on the sides?
That's Steve Shirky. Yeah, that's yes. I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, when he got arrested in Ohio, it was Mahoney County. He said he was in the Mahoney County jail. That's here in Youngstown.
Oh, cool.
So any kind of mob stuff, they mix us in somewhere.
Right.
Because a lot of mob stuff came through here. They called us the bomb capital of the USA.
Right. Yeah, I know that too. Yeah, back from the 70s.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
They were bombing.
I picked that up when I watched the movie about Danny Green, the guy who was he was the union guy, the Irish guy that ran the labor unions back then in the 70s. He kind of took it over, and that's what he kind of started all the bombings. He said, "Hey, you know what? These guys playing this game like I'm good. I'll show them. Just throw a bomb under the car," and that kicked it all off.
Yeah,
so, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in I-80 runs right through Youngstown. So it's the main drag for drugs and everything. Everything stops here.
Okay. The couple times I went to Colorado, that was 80 was our drag. Yeah, we took 80 instead of 70. We went the northern route.
Yep. As soon as you come out of Pennsylvania into Ohio, you're in Youngstown.
Well, that's what happened on the way back. We just came through Toledo, and it was I think that's when 80 turned to like the Ohio Turnpike. Does it turn to do that? Yep. Right there? We stopped at the rest stop, gassed up the car, and then took off again, and that's where we lost the axle. And the nearest town they could drag us to was Maumee, which was this little podunk nothing. And it's funny because this is 1986. So we're stuck, my brother and I. We're walking down the street, and we're looking at these like signs for soda that we never heard of before, and restaurants. There was a Chili's. We never heard of Chili's.
Oh, really?
Red Roof. All this stuff we saw it in New York, like 3 to 4 years later. It all came here, and then before the internet, of course. But when I was able to research it, I found out that's one of the towns in the country that they consider absolutely middle America. Like if it's going to work here, it's going to work in LA, it'll work in New York, it'll work in Chicago. So that's why we saw soda names and products that we didn't see here. They were testing them. They test them on the market.
Yeah, the Midwest. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of stupid, not stupid, but a lot of history here of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have Panera Bread in New York?
Yeah, we do.
Well, he's from here, Youngstown.
Okay.
The start of that.
So I don't think I ever asked you this question. How long have you been there in Ohio?
45 years.
So pretty much, most of your life.
Yeah, we moved to Florida for 5 or 6 years, and we moved back. So other than that, I've been here.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
This is where I took my lumps.
Right. Yeah, and I've been here all my life. South Shore of Long Island. Well, I was in Queens for a while, but South Shore of Long Island. That's it, man. This is home. Yeah. That's like I tell my wife now. We're talking about retiring, relocating, moving somewhere south, and I'm saying, and I get these weird thoughts, stupid stuff goes through my head. I'm thinking, I'm gonna be buried somewhere else. Like I'll be buried in the South, and I'm not from there. Is the land gonna reject me?
Yeah, is that crazy?
I mean, who thinks that? She's like, who the hell cares after you're dead? You're right. Who cares? You're right. But
it's funny you said that because I was thinking that the other day. I'm like, when I'm gone, I don't care what they do with me. They can throw me in the garbage can for all I care.
Right. Well, yeah. At that point, you don't. You can say sure, not. But now, when you're here to think about it, you think about it.
Yeah.
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 I think my brain is my worst enemy sometimes. It's stupid crap I think of. But so we got a new follower here. I know he'll probably want to keep it on a down low. Let me see. He's not on here yet. My buddy Billy G. He's one of my boys from Whitestone. He puts on a show every year, and a private car show. He's been following the show for the last month or so.
Oh yeah, good,
and,
good.
Yeah. So he's we picked up we crossed promoted a little. We got ourselves another follower. So
all right, cool. Let him know that when he has his show, we can promote it for him. Help him promote it.
Yeah, it's one of those shows that it was always an invitation only. They do it in it's in the streets right below the Whitestone Bridge in New York. Mm-hmm. It's like when you're coming over the bridge into Queens, if you look down, you'll see that neighborhood. So it's a limited amount of space. So it's a limited amount of cars he can have. Right. And he's always packed because he's got regulars and stuff like that. And he's never really advertised it. We don't even really advertise it on the radio show because of that fact. We mention it, but it's always been kind of an invitation show. But and they're not doing it this year, because of the whole distancing thing, I guess. So that's cool. But yeah, Billy's been checking in on the show, and it's funny because then when he comes in, he'll follow us on Sunday too. And we had him on the show a couple of weeks ago on Sunday, and we did a Zoom meeting. And he came in and said, "Wow, Ray," he goes, "It's good to see you're awake," because he sees me on Thursday night, and I'm like, falling asleep. I'm like, I'm shot, man. It's the end of the night, end of the day. And he goes, "Oh, you look so much better now." I'm like, "Yeah, it's 11 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. I'm actually awake."
Yeah, right. Nelson has a big car show coming up.
I know Dina's going there. Dina had put it on Twitter that she's going to that show. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Lou will be there.
Okay.
He has a couple entertainers coming, so it's going to be pretty good. He's here in the chat room, I think.
That's in Georgia.
Alabama.
Alabama. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Yeah. That's good. I know Dina is taking Stella out, her caddy, her race car, and they're going to bring it out. So that's cool. People love looking at that thing. It's such a great car. I mean, they do. Her and Andrew. They're New Yorkers. It's like talking to Chassis John. Like I tell people, like, yeah, you gotta, I said, I tell them about, my new friend, Chassis John. I said, another guy I never met. I said, well, I actually did meet him. He did come to the station. I said, but, it's like the guys from, I guess, from both coasts, from New York and other places too. I'll tell them, like, I was telling my daughter, because she'd been making me margaritas every night. I said, So I'm talking about buying a margarita machine. I said, my buddy John was telling me how he bought a double margarita machine. She was like, a double? I'm like, well, yeah, he's from New York, so he's going to do everything. Of course he does it big. He's not going to Walmart. He's going to Restaurant Supply. He's going to buy. So, and that's how Dean and Drew are. They have that mentality of, and it's not always a bad thing. It's like with their car, it's like whatever is good, but what's best? Because I want the best. I don't care. It's going to cost me 10 times more. That's what I want, And in a race car where safety is concerned, that's where it pays off,
Yeah, exactly.
But they do that with their house and with their personal stuff too. So it's just a lifestyle at that point, I mean, we all like to save money. We all like to be frugal, and I'll say it. Yeah, I can be cheap, when I want to be. Where it pays to be cheap.
I'm usually cheap all the time, except for when it comes to my wife. If she wants something, I'll try to get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Other than that, I'm cheap on everything.
Right. I'll skimp out on stuff for myself, and then for my wife or my kids, I'll go the extra distance and spend the money on them.
Yeah.
It's just because it feels like the right thing to do. It's like, let them have it. I don't need it. That's all right. But because I make a lot of my stuff too. I'm sure like you. We go out and just. My daughter was just sitting out on the patio the other night, out on the deck, and I made I have a piece of aluminum that's bent, and I put my cell phone on it. She goes, "Dad, where'd that come from? Did you make that?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's version 1.0." So she's like, "Really?" And my other daughter had to come use my computer downstairs. She goes, "Oh, I saw another one." Here it is. This is version 2.0.
Oh,
This one got chrome bolts and chrome, chrome.
Oh, that's nice.
But it holds the cell phone.
Yeah, there you go.
Now I can see it if there's a text or whatever. I could, I can see it. So, she says, I saw that in the store. You could buy that at like $5 Below. I'm like, yeah, you buy a piece of crap at $5 Below. I said, I made this. I said, you know what? I can rebend it. I can make it again. And if I don't like it, I'll make a third one. And I'll keep making this damn thing until.
You'll spend $30 on the metal instead of.
That's the beauty of it. Like with you with leather, I'm sure you got plenty of scraps. I have metal scraps, and I just did something today. I was playing in the garage. I said, I'm going to mount my soldering station on my wall in front of where I always sit because I always. I keep it under the bench. I'm going to mount it on the wall. Took a nice big thick piece of aluminum. I got some nice 35 thousandths aluminum. Bent it, mounted it to a couple of pegboard hooks. You made another brace for it, mounted it on the wall. And there you go. Now I got a soldering iron stand, but just out of my scraps.
Yeah.
The problem is I have scraps stashed everywhere, and I forget where the stuff is because I got too much of it. Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, guys. Hold on 1 minute.
All right. Well, I'm working on my shop in the garage, so I'm building workbenches. But what I'm doing is I'm building my workbenches with all my tools where they flip up from under.
Really?
So, I ran into another rabbit hole. I'd
like to see that.
Yeah. It's kind of tricky.
I can't picture, I heard what you said, but I can't picture it. So now I'm very intrigued.
Well, like my miter saw would be under the table. And then when I want to use it, it'll flip up and be on top. And it'll be flush with the counter, so I can run my wood through and.
All right, so it's going to be mounted in the. I can see that now. That's very cool. The only problem with that is it takes up space underneath. So, like, if you want to sit there, you can't put your legs underneath. You have to have a cabinet or something.
Well, listen, I'm making a monster.
Oh,
it's 4 foot by 8 foot.
Okay.
And it's on casters. I got 6 casters on it, and everything's going to flip up. Like I'll have my table saw. It'd be on one end flush. I'm buying those DeWalt stack cases.
Yeah.
So I'm building shelving for that on both sides. So one side would be my leather, the other side would be tools. Right. Everything's going to be all on this cart. I'm putting an air compressor in it.
I hope you don't get into the conundrum I did. I have a bench. It's a butcher block bench that was out of a school. So it's like 12 feet long by like 3 feet deep. It's got outlets in the front. I mounted the toolboxes in it. I put my middle of my top box on top of it and my bottom box under it. So it's kind of, you don't move those. But then I have an L-shaped piece of counter coming out on the other side. And I took I have a small parts washer. Unlike Brian, who has 15 safety clean machines. Yeah. I bought a parts washer from Harbor Freight back in the 80s. And it had a nice big flange like a kitchen sink. So I cut a hole in the counter, and I just sunk it in so it's flush. Mm-hmm. The problem is, that's where you throw all your extra crap. If I got to use the parts washer, I need like a freaking hour to clean all the stuff.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I'm trying to get rid of. I'm doing everything like that. So everything is on a cart with wheels. So I don't have to move something to work on something. You know what I mean? Everything will have its own spot.
I follow the theory. And every time I've done it, I've never. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah,
so it's getting ready to go down as soon as I get a couple more things out of my head to figure out the swivel.
Yeah. It's only good if you're religious about keeping stuff off the top of it, because otherwise you got to move stuff now to get to that.
Yeah.
And people have commented. You see Brian's area. We all have areas like the same stuff. It's like. Yeah.
Well, see, I don't have the room, so I have to do this because I need the room. So here's a small one I made. Now, this butts up against my radio arm saw.
Right.
So this stretches out the counter. So look what I did down there. I put shelves to hold different pieces. Now, those are mounted onto the wood. So I can grab them out and stick them on top of the counter, and it's going to sit down in a groove.
How extensive does your woodwork background go?
I don't know. Go-karts?
No, because that's pretty advanced. I mean, I don't think I'm that advanced.
Go-karts and YouTube.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. No, I just wonder, like, if that's one of your hobbies is like with me, I've always had a problem with wood. I've been in houses, for a long time, and I was a machinist. So I can machine a piece of metal within 100,000. I used to make dies, for plastic injection molding, and the stuff had to be like dead nuts on, couldn't be off by 100,000. But if you had me put a piece of window molding. I can't make it. I can't freaking make it. And my friend, a carpenter, says, "Listen, Ray, wood is so easy. You cut it fat, you can file it, sand it, kick it, throw some, hit, nail it." He goes, "It's so." I'm like, "I know, but
listen,
you have a metal mentality. That's the problem."
Yeah. I'll tell you what, wood is hard, man. When you do trim, it's hard to get those pieces to match up right.
Then I'm watching guys who were showing me how to do it. They took not just the piece of straight cove or straight, but like a casement molding that has a pattern, and they're cutting it along the side, like mitering it and following the and these things are just, it's almost like a joint. When it goes together,
it's an art. It's an art. It really is.
That's why, just like whenever I've done, I'll hang the sheetrock, but I pay the guy to tape and spackle it. And when it's time for molding, I get a carpenter in and I pay a guy to do it because it's going to look right. Otherwise, I'm going to look at it forever and say, "Oh, I screwed that up." And
See, I got a couple spots that I see. I'm not going to show you, but there's some spots.
There's always something, what? And then the damn house settles. It's like my house was built in what, 45, I think it was.
Yeah, everything's crooked.
All new stuff in. Well, yeah, crooked definitely. But I had all new stuff done in my kitchen when I did it a few years ago. I had a carpenter do it, and some of that's even relieved a little because I guess the house moved again.
Yeah.
So
that's no joke.
What the hell?
So that's my, and I'm also doing drawers in that thing too to hold my tools. So I'm not going to buy a toolbox because I don't have a room.
Right.
So everything.
Yeah, you need a place to hold you out a bit. You need all your stuff. Yeah.
Because I got to get the caddy in there. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks I'll have that in the garage and I'm going to tear it apart.
What are you building those the counters out of? What kind of metal? What kind of wood are you using?
Plywood, 3/4 inch plywood.
But the legs and all, what's that?
2x4s and 4x4s.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the smell of wood, man. I love the smell of like fresh sawn wood. I can smell it all day. It's like they said, but the old joke back in the 80s. Who the hell was it? Was it Sam Kinison? Or was it John Belushi? This is like, I don't like cocaine. I just like the way it smells. I love it. I'll walk through like a Home Depot and like they cut wood, like, oh, that fresh smell of wood, cut wood. I love that smell. That is,
Yeah, it makes you want to build stuff.
Yeah. Yep. I just want to cut stuff.
So I'm also going to try my hand in making a dust collector.
Oh yeah,
I've been researching that. I'm not going to really do a lot of wood stuff, but it's nice to have the toys.
Harbor Freight does sell a dust collector that's affordable. They do sell. Definitely. Maybe you want to look into that.
Yeah, I'm not going to be beating it up. Just when I make a little something here and there.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you go with wood, Brian? What's your history with wood?
I'm not very good at it either.
Okay.
It's kind of funny. When growing up, my dad has a really big woodworking shop, half the basement. He's got every type of tool and every type of thing. And it was always funny because on the weekends, you'd hear the saw and the sanders and the beating and banging and all kinds of stuff, but you never saw anything built. So you speed it up, the 30 years now, and I do more metal work. I mean, I play with metal, like you say, Ray, and I come down here and I'm cutting and drilling and MIGging and nothing's built. It was stress relief, I think,
Yeah.
He made wood chips and I have little metal filings or shavings over here.
Hey, whatever it takes to get the mind right.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually this weekend, I hope this weekend, I got to rebuild the deck on the John Deere. So it had one of those washable decks. You know, you hook a hose to it, and it's supposed to wash out all the grass clippings.
Right.
And they just start to fall apart after it's thinner metal, you know, where it's done. So I want to try to rebuild. So at least I get to play with metal this weekend and the MIG welder and so forth. So
I was just watching a video today by one of the Haggerty videos, and I'm sorry, I go back and forth with so much crap. Between that, I was watching an episode of Kindig show, and they had a guy in there who's a fabricator, and he had a piece of metal clamped to a Matco toolbox on the end, and he was forming it. He says, "Listen, everything is a tool." He goes, "Everything is a tool, no matter what it is," and he's right. You know, it's just like if you don't have a bending brake, you make one out of something. You know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he had a clamp to the end of this guy's toolbox. I was like, I wonder if the guy who owned the box knew about it.
I catch myself doing that all the time. I'm looking around the garage like, man, I need to do something. Oh, this will work.
I did that today. Yeah, I actually did that today.
I built one table, and I used like 8x8 for the legs, you know, railroad tied things for the I built this table, and it was so damn heavy I couldn't move it.
I was gonna say, what were you gonna do? Sit on it? You had to make it with 8x8?
Well, I wanted one I could beat on. I had I still have it, but I wanted to put it out underneath the deck, and I wanted to put the strut compressor on it.
Right.
One of those Brannick, you know, the ones that mount on the wall.
Right.
I wanted to mount it up on the bench. And like I said, I didn't want it to move anywhere, and I wanted to be able to beat on it. And it stayed together for about 18 years. And one day I bumped up against it, and the table moved. And I was like,
oops.
How in the hell is this thing? I couldn't even move it. I had to have like 5 guys move it.
Yeah.
And when I picked it up and looked, the termites had eaten the whole inside.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So it was just, you know, staying there by sawdust, you know, or being out in the elements.
I have a friend did that with a welding table. He was taking a BOCES class, and he did a project and built a welding table that he welded and then couldn't move it because it was too damn heavy.
I was
going to say, you know, in the garage and even in the basement, I use butcher block and on those metal legs, the metal prefab legs. And I tell you, man, you can beat anything on that stuff. It is so solid. It takes up a lot less space than 8x8s too.
Oh yeah, well, like I said, I got a little crazy. I jump ahead of myself a little bit on stuff like that. I over engineer sometimes.
Well, yeah, that's my personal life. I'm not the engineer. I'm the over engineer.
Yeah.
What's up, Keith?
Hi guys.
Keith. How are you,
Keith?
Good.
What you know good?
Nothing. Just
hey, I noticed you're popping up at bike nights and you don't even call me to go. I mean, wow.
Well, I apologize for that, Lewis. It was a last minute situation and I just went. I was there when I typed that in.
I wouldn't have been able to go anyway. I'm always doing something.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah.
Make me feel bad.
Social media outs everybody.
Yeah, right. Like I see you were at that spot.
But yeah, it was a good time. There was a lot of people there. It's about the only one in the area. So
yeah, it's depressing, man. I haven't done anything.
I'm thinking about taking my tent and setting up out there with some of my paintings and see what happens. I mean, it's that good of a crowd. So
that's good. Yeah. So what are you working on in the background? Who is that?
It's done. Batman.
Okay.
Adam West.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yes. Very cool. Very good.
That's pretty nice.
Nice.
He turned out good.
Nice.
Is he for sale?
They're always for sale.
Yeah.
Hey, Keith, tell everybody about your Jay Leno. Did you tell him last time you were on?
No, I couldn't get on last time, and issues again. I don't know what the heck's going on, but that piece I had of Jay Leno that I painted, I sent it to Jay to his garage, and I was driving home from work, and I get a phone call that says restricted call. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to answer it. But my name's out there with my business card, so I was like, well, I better answer it. So I answered it, and somebody goes, hey, this is Jay Leno. And I'm like, yeah, right. And he goes, no, this is really Jay Leno. I got your painting that you sent me, and I appreciate it very much. He goes, I love it. And he took a picture of him with it and sent it to me. So, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It turned out good.
That's what happened to me when I was scouting Mark Warman for the first time about 4 years ago or so. And I called, left my number, and then I got a call that I didn't know the number. I'm like, I ain't gonna answer this. And I listen, it's like, hey, it's Mark Warman. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, I got another one. Shag from Iron Resurrection. He did that to me one time too. He called me and I said Austin, Texas, and I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know anybody from Austin, Texas. And I answered. He goes, hey, this is Shag. I'm like, no kidding. So we talked a good 10 minutes or so, and super nice guy. I mean, so far everybody's been really good.
I got to tell you, I think the best callback I ever got in my life was from Lou Santiago. Again, the only way I could get a hold of him was on Lou. You'll laugh at this. It was on his LinkedIn account.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know how much you use that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I left him a note. I left him my phone number and said, yeah, I want to talk to you. And I get a phone call, and I'm like, what the hell? I think I just said, let me answer. He was like, Ray, this is Lou. And I did the whole bit. I'm like, holy shit. Like,
anytime he meets somebody, it's like he's known him for 10 years. I'm like, do you know him? He's like, no, this is the first time I met him.
right. And
he did the same thing to me the first time I met him at that bike show. That's pretty much where I met you too, Lewis. I met you both at the same time.
Yep.
And that was pretty funny.
Well, I guess the takeaway from all this is, I guess we're a pretty friendly bunch, right?
That's about it.
Pretty affable,
Every once in a while you'll run into an idiot, but for the most part, man, the car community is really good people. Look at Papa Squirrel, man. When we go somewhere and meet Papa Squirrel and Debbie, man, they're like family, like mom and dad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That is good. Good.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
It's only Brian. It's only Brian that has to deal with the deadbeats.
Yeah, he hates the car people.
I can't pay you this week. No, I'm not. I'm gonna be sick. No, I gotta go. My cat's sick. I gotta go. I can't come to work.
Yeah, a few. A few.
Until they want something.
It's always the other side, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's like Lewis, with the bike people, the guys with bikes. I mean, I started talking to just anybody in there. They're buying me drinks and stuff, just this last week. It was really cool, just BSing with the guys. It's a good time.
Well, I got a good example for the bike people. Me and the wife last summer, we went to, where did we go? It was a Volkswagen show, all Volkswagens, old Volkswagens.
Oh, out there in Columbiana.
Yeah, Columbiana. So I went down there on the bike, me and the wife, and then on the way back, I'm riding. I'm like, I need to get gas. I was like, well, I'll wait for the next one. And you know what happened? I ran out, right? So I'm sitting on the side of the road, me and the wife. I'm waiting for my father-in-law. He's gonna bring me some gas. And one of the guys pulls up. He goes, "Hey, I seen you down at the Volkswagen place, and you okay?" He stopped to help me. He was on his bike. And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." You know what I mean? Don't know me from Adam, but hey, bikers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yep.
It's the unwritten code of the road, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that a ceiling fan behind you with no blades?
Yeah, it's just going real fast. See, I got it turbocharged.
All right.
Yeah, right.
All right. I see it. Yeah, I see it. It's you got to paint stripes on the end like a 17.
I had to juice it up. I can't just have a normal fan. I had to throw some.
Right.
He put some nitrous on that.
Yeah.
It's about 140 volts instead of 110, right?
Yeah, we had to give it some juice.
Got it. Okay, good. Just check.
115.
So, in a couple weeks, I'm going to start redoing previous shows. So any of the entertainers that we've had on, I'm gonna take clips of the interviews and start putting the clips out on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
You know, so all the good question and answers, stuff like that. So I'm gonna start working on that.
You know, every week on my radio show, what I do is I keep a log and I clip the audio files out of the main show, and they become the Mother's Day show. The Mother's Day show the history of this is the only day you could never get anybody to do a show was on Mother's Day because everybody was visiting their moms or whatever. So we would just do it became the best of show, best of the year. So that's what we do. We save all those clips from the year, and then you got to go through them and you got to have only a certain amount. You never use everything you have, which is, it's almost like you got to get rid of like some of your favorite kids because like some of those bits are priceless and they got to go. You know, they got to hit the floor. But that's the same idea. Lewis, I think that's a great idea. It's a lot of work, but it's a great idea. I like it.
Yeah, just something different. You know what I mean? It'll be on the YouTube channel, and
right.
Give people things to, because a lot of people, if they haven't watched the whole thing, they might miss a good question that they always wondered about, one of the shows or, anything like that.
Right. Yeah. And like what we do is we put them up on a file so they become on the website. You can just listen to the Mother's Day shows, which gives you that quick synopsis of the year, but you get to hear the people, and it's all about the guests. It's not about us. It's about the clips from the guests. Because nobody wants to hear us
content
anymore.
of the show.
Listen to us all year. You don't want to hear us. They don't want to hear us during the week, let alone. I don't blame them either.
Well, Ray, your show is really informative. You know what I mean? You're really helping people figure stuff out. It's a.
Thank you, Lewis. What in the beginning that was really what the impetus of the show was. We were a self-help car repair show where people would call in. They have a problem with. They're in the middle of a brake job, or they had to get a pulley off, and they didn't know how to do it, or they had to do a timing belt or whatever, and they needed advice. And we would help them. We'd give them that advice. And then what happened in a short amount of years, people aren't working on their cars anymore because they can't.
Yeah,
that's true. They can't do it. So luckily we had an entertainment side of the show that was, we were able to give people advice and then have fun with it at the same time. And we would bust each other's balls relentlessly, which goes without saying. And then we had that to fall back on. So, now we're not giving as much car advice. What we do now is we'll report on what we did, so I'll talk about what I did or what Chris did or what we screwed up and how we, made a mess out of it or, how a Matco tool. Oh, there you go. Like just today, I got tools in the house. I got, a separate toolbox at the shop, and I've been doing some work out of my house lately. And I go to my tool. I had to work on my daughter's car yesterday, and I go to my toolbox to grab a few tools to go out to the street. And I was looking for my little 1/4-inch drive with a 3/8 head Matco ratchet to take with me. I'm like, damn, it's at the shop. It's not at home. I'm like, son of a bitch.
See, you need two.
Well, you know what? I do have two of a lot. That's the thing. I only have one of those. I do only have one. And I have two of a lot of other stuff that I shouldn't have two of. But yeah, so we'll talk about that. Like that problem of, hey, if you work in two different locations, what do? Spend more money. That's what you do.
There you go.
Yeah. I had to replace some locks in a toolbox the other day.
Right.
And the bolt on the back of the lock, it's a lock cylinder, and it's got a nut that's 7/8. So
right.
I use one of those 1/4-inch ratchets with a 3/8 head with a 7/8 because it's small enough and do.
Right.
And I left it in the guy's toolbox when I got done doing the locks.
Really?
Jumped in the truck, drove down the road, got about halfway down, and I'm like, man, where's that ratchet? Oh, shit. Had to go back, and he's like, what's going on? And I was like, I left my ratchet here. He goes, man, that's pretty badass. How much is that? I said, I'll be right back.
I was like, no, you didn't leave any ratchet here, man. I don't see any ratchets. I'm sorry. I saw like a Twinkie wrapper, but I don't have a ratchet.
Yeah. Man, I thought I lost it, man. I was really was sweating, and I was like, God, if I lose that, I'm gonna be pissed.
So Brian, you did the equivalent of leaving the LED light on the chassis under the car.
Just yep.
Mhm.
I laid it down. I laid it down, and we went through all the locks, and like I said, it was like, I don't know, 115 degrees in the shop. I mean, it was just brutal.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was like, I just got to get out of here. And I laid that thing down in the drawer. And once I got it all back up, he went through it. And man, I got out of there, and I was like, damn it. And luckily, I mean, it's a really good shop. I mean, those guys, I've only sold seven toolboxes in that shop. So
Wow.
everybody, so they were all, like I said, it was no problem. I walked back in, they were like, "What's up?" And I was like, "Man, look, my tools here." He's like, "Oh, that's pretty badass." So
you made a sale, huh?
yeah, I made a sale. I made it worthwhile. But
You see, here in New York, any guy in the shop would say to you, "Hey, but you got a Matco truck. What the hell are you coming back here for? Just take another one." It's like, get the hell out of here. You drive a tool truck. Get out of here.
Well, I used to be really bad with that because somebody would, I would do something and I would just grab it off the top and start doing it and put it back.
Right.
And I had a regional manager with me one time, and he was like, you should just kind of have your own little toolbox.
What the hell's that all about?
Technically you're kind of like using the stuff, and some people, and I only had one guy, squawk about it. He's like, this thing's been used. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, pound sand, you douchebag. You know what? I would tell him, I was doing a product demonstration, and then like I had the client. Actually, I said, "Here, you try it," and let him put his hands on it, and then he wanted to buy it because it felt so great. So
yeah,
get the hell out of here.
But usually the only problem I have with having my own stuff like that is that you have something that's either old or no longer available. And when somebody sees it, they're like, "Hey, I want one." You can't get it. So
I got to tell you, I was almost ready to start a rant with Snap-on this week because they're all over the internet. Yeah, they're on Twitter and Instagram with this. I could go get it and show you, but they have a real short. It's a stubby ratchet. Now I have it in the 3/8 drive, and I've actually updated it to the new one with, I guess, I don't know if it's 88 teeth or whatever. It was coarse before that. But now that the newest thing since sliced bread with them is that ratchet, and it's actually kind of clunky. It's literally like a 3/8 ratchet that they shrunk down with a little handle. So it's pretty clunky, but now they're making it with a 1/4-inch drive head. And they're raving about how small this thing is and how you can do dashboard work and all. And I went in my toolbox and I showed the guy at the shop. I said, "Wait a minute, I have one of their 1/4-inch drive, really, really stubby, small ratchets that puts that thing to shame, and it's their product that I bought in like 1988." So, like, what are they talking about?
They forgot.
Did the new guy not research that the company already put something out smaller than what they're selling now? So I was going to take it to them, but I figured, I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like they'll say something big coming. Stand back, boys. Get ready. It's exciting.
Right.
We're just going to set the world on fire. And it's they brought back a red handled screwdriver.
That's kind of what they did. And I showed my buddy at the shop. I said, "Look," I said, "did they forget about this one?" He goes, "Like, whoa, where'd you get that?" Like, my toolbox. I have one at the shop. I have one at home. I've had these for years. It's like, I guess the new guy at whoever's doing their product stuff, like I said, didn't research the company's past history. And,
hey, Ray. John Day has a question in the questions.
Let's see.
I'm pretty sure it's for you because you're the tech guy.
Oh, geez. Just bought a 2008 F350 5.4 liter crew cab, 8-foot bed and tailgate lift for moving drums of oil. Oh, I thought it was going to move drum sets. So I was interested, but he's drums of oil products. The mileage is horrible. Any ideas? Can I chip it? You don't chip you don't chip new vehicles. That's the thing of the past, man. Chips went out in the 90s. You got to reprogram.
Yeah, reprogram it.
A new ECM. I've heard a couple guys talking about things like this with new vehicles like the Rams, and there are companies who are, again, they're addressing the electronics And the mileage, they always use the mileage as the hook because that's what people want to hear. They're going to get more mileage and or more power. Well, they want more power and more mileage.
Can't do both.
I don't think you're going to get a huge amount of, well, you'll probably get a lot more power than you'll get gas mileage.
Yeah.
I would have to look at, John's saying the Supercharger. I have to look into that because off the top, well, it's an 08. Oh, and you deal with those things, right? The F-350, you have one, don't you?
Well, mine's a 6.0 diesel.
Okay.
I have a diesel version, but really it comes down to what his towing package is and what size rear end. Because that's the mistake I made with mine. Because my wife had a 6.0 diesel Excursion, and it's a rocket. Or it was a rocket. We sold it. But, I mean, that truck was a rocket. And, I mean, that thing wanted to hum about 95 miles an hour down the road. And, of course, I get mine, and, I made two mistakes with mine because at first I drove a F-250 6.0 diesel. And when we went in to sit down and talk about the price, he says, in a clearance model, we're taking 10 grand off right off the bat. So I said, even on that F-350 out there? And he goes, you want that F-350? I'll give you a deal. So he gave me a hell of a deal on the truck, and I really never drove it. But the problem is it had, the gross vehicle weight was 13.9, and it had 410s in it.
Yeah.
It was set up as a fleet truck of some sort, And, it'll pull a tree out of the ground, but as any kind of mileage and speed-wise, it just really bites.
Yeah, I think the thing to remember is when you get into a platform of that size, you can't be thinking about mileage and things like that. You're not buying it for that reason. You're buying it to pull tree stumps out or tow big
oil.
And that
See,
comes
the biggest thing for me was when I went to go look at the F-250s. They had every option, the leather, they had the moonroof, and I just wanted a pickup truck. It was for work, but I had to have the crew cab to carry the kids around. So I just wanted a pickup truck. I didn't want all those options. So that F-350 was a plain Jane, it was just white on white, and there was no real options other than a snowplow package.
Right.
So
yeah, John just hit it. You just got to charge more for delivery. You do what everybody else does. You work it into, you work those costs into your economic package. That's all there is to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I look into it. There may be a reprogram that's out there, and of course, it's basically all of the old hot rod stuff still applies. If you can free up the air intake and the exhaust going out, those two things alone can really free up a lot of. Make the vehicle drive a little better, a little more responsive. Again, may not be huge numbers like on a dyno, but seat of the pants, you may feel it. Even just changing the tires from maybe a more industrial or off-road tire to a street tire. That makes a difference,
Hey, I got a question. On my F-150, when I hit the gas, I get a clunk, and it feels like drive shaft or universals. Right. I have my buddy put it on the lift. They're all tight. They're not. What is it?
You have the same problem I have in my Mazda that I drive. I hear a clunk out of the right rear wheel, and every time, and I'll go over, a certain a choppy piece of road, or I was parked half up on the sidewalk and half on the street yesterday, or I pulled off the curb. Boom! I heard it. I put that car in the lift. I move and shake everything. I can't replicate this freaking noise. Yeah. So some things make noise under load, and some do it when it's static. So
strut mount?
I have shocks in the rear, shock and coil springs, and I changed the shocks because actually the shocks were kind of almost shot. So I did change them over the winter. I don't know. Like I said, I have grabbed and shook and moved and pried and everything, and I can't.
You want to make sure that the U-joint's not frozen in there. That happened to my
good point.
That happened to my wife's Excursion because she doesn't drive it, and the thing because like I said, it was a clunking noise. Yeah, it was actually more of a popping noise. It would pop every once in a while. And I got underneath there, and man, I pulled and pried and moved until I took the drive shaft down and realized you could not move the it had I don't know if on your truck if it has that, but it had two sets of U joints next to each other.
Yeah, well, yeah, I have three. One in the middle.
You have
There's
a carrier.
three total.
You got the carrier bearing in the center. It's a split shaft.
Yeah, yep.
They're notorious for making noise. The carrier bearing.
Yeah, the
I had to
bearing's
change one of
bad.
those on the Snap-on truck we owned at the shop. But it was actually pretty easy to do. Actually, I had the drive shaft shop swap it, and then I threw it back up in. It wasn't a big deal.
When you pull it down, don't separate the drive shafts.
Right, leave it together.
You want to mark. You want to at least mark them. You don't want them to come apart.
U-joint phasing is very important, especially when you get into the split shaft. You want to hear something crazy? My Fiat Spider, which has to be only like 13 feet long. I've had that car on the road 16 years. As of yesterday, that stupid car has a split drive shaft with a carrier bearing in it. It's a little sports car. It's like,
yeah,
who the hell's idea was that? But it's got a split drive shaft.
So but Lewis, you do have a U joint up front and not a rubber hub, a disc.
Yeah, yep.
It's a U joint, and then towards the back, is it two U joints together or just one?
I think it's one.
The other thing I'd look at is play in the rear end. You can just with the truck off the ground, grab a wheel and see how much play you have. I mean, a little bit is acceptable, it is, but an exorbitant amount will give you a clunk.
Yeah, when I'm sitting at a light and I go to take off, I get that clunk. It's like I can feel it.
Right.
Yep.
Can you control the noise with the gas with the accelerator pedal? Like when it starts clunking, can you make it clunk multiple times?
No, it just does it once. It's like when I go to take off, it does a clunk and that's it.
Just takes up the slack. What if you like have you power braked it, like really took off hard, or like really did like a
I did when I first bought it, and
and then the noise started right after that.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
That's when you say, "Hey, Dad, I don't know what happened, but it just fell out of your car." You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'll tell you a story about that. Years ago, I'm going back to the 80s. I was living at home. My brother was home. And, we had a thing like, whoever would come home first, make sure that you couldn't park in the street, put the car deep enough in the driveway so that I could pull in. I get up in the morning, and I see his car should have been behind mine because I was home early that night. But now my car was behind his. I'm like, I go out, and there was a note on the car. He was like, "Wake me up before you go anywhere. I got to talk to you." Like, okay. So this is like a Sunday morning in probably July or August. It was already like 90 degrees at like 8 o'clock. So I wake him up. I'm like, "Hey, what do I got to know about my car?" "Oh, yeah, you can't take your car." I'm like, "Well, why? It's there. What happened?" "Well, how to use it last night?" Like, "Yeah." Like, "No problem." He goes, "Well, your drive shaft broke." So I'm like, "My drive shaft broke?" I'm like, "I drove the car all night." So he goes, "Well, I had it out, and I was, I don't know." I said, "Listen, okay." I said, "So the next unwritten rule follows: you broke it, you fix it, and I'm taking your car." So, and what happened is, I get out and look at the carnage, and I'm looking at the yoke on the rear end that was split in half. The U joint was blown apart. I'm like, "Listen, dude, we know this didn't just fall apart. We've been doing this a little too long. Like, what did you do?" "No, really, I just took off from the light and it just like went bang." I'm like, "Yeah, what was the tax saying when you took off from the light?" "Well, there was this guy." Yeah, the story evolved. He was street racing some guy and he grenaded. Oh, at least he didn't grenade the rear end, but yeah. So okay. So he had to go find a yoke off another rear end somewhere on a Sunday and go to friends' houses and scrounge their junk pile. But yeah, he fixed it. Hung over all. You break it, you fix it.
So I think I'm just going to take it to my mechanic, let him play with it.
If you don't want to get dirty, that's one way of doing it.
What year was it again? 15? What year?
10.
10?
Mm-hmm. I'm dreading working on the Cadillac. I'm going to take everything apart so I can get to everything. I'm not going to be upside down and hanging in the hood. I'm taking everything apart.
I'll tell you another story. Yesterday, I was over at the shop. I'm putting my car back together. So it's been over at the paint shop since April. It hasn't been home since then. So my wife hasn't seen it. She's seen the pictures on the phone and all, but she's like, when am I going to see this car? So I finally got the front bumper on it. So I had both bumpers on and license plates and the lights. So I said, hey, you know what? I took it off the lift. I drove it around. I said, let me shoot back to that. I had to go get an inspection. So I did that. I shot back to the house and she, checked it out. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe how nice this looks in person, So I was like, yeah. So my neighbor was checking it out. And I told them both, I said, this is a lesson that I got to preach to people. I did this car backwards by convention. Most people, and even on TV, they will take a car apart totally, and the body goes out and gets straightened and body worked and painted, right? Then they get the car back and they build it. And I said, now, on TV, it's one thing. They got a budget. I said, but when guys are doing it at home, now they have this beautiful painted body shell. They got to be very careful. That's where I'm at now. I'm afraid to touch it.
Yeah.
And they got to do the engine and the transmission and the rear end and the suspension and the brakes and the interior and the wiring and the chrome. That's where I'm at now. Give money to a polisher like crazy. And I said, that's where you pick a car up that's 60, 70% done because guys run out of money and they just run out of time. They run out of steam. I did it the opposite. I took this car apart years ago and I did all the mechanical work. I rebuilt the engine, put in the 5-speed, rebuilt the rear end, put it all new suspension, brake lines, and I drove it that way with the body not done. So now all I had to do is send it in for the finished body work and paint. And now I'm spending money on the polishing and the chrome, but it's nowhere near like the other scenario.
Less stressful too.
And the bottom line is I drove the car before it was finished. And even if I don't put the trim on it, I can still drive the car. And I got to say, I think this is the better way to do it. I really do. It's
especially if you don't have a team and all the tools and
here's my team.
Like you said, endless money.
Yeah. My team right there. Right.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, it's still the same money any way you look at it. I mean, I gave the polisher like, what was it? 10 pieces of trim plus the 4 wheel well arches and the grills and then my tail section that he polished. And he came back and I said, okay, what do I owe you? He's like, give me $1,000. I'm like, okay. So just roll off the hundreds, like, okay. But you got to pay the man for his labor. That was all labor. And, I knew it was going to cost, but, it's just, that's what you got to do. But
I'm thinking about buying a shed just to take the parts off and put it in the shed while I'm working on it. So they won't be in the way,
Yeah.
I'm that guy. You read about it in Carcraft magazine from 1975. I rebuilt my car in a 1.5 car garage with my tools and bench and with my motorcycle in there and all my stuff. And I said, you know what? To do one car, you need 3 spaces.
Easy.
Oh, yeah.
All the old stuff that's coming off, you have to save to make sure, if there's an inconsistency with something. And you need room for the new stuff. And you need room to work. And
you make sure you label everything.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm nuts about that. But I proved you can still do it in a small space if you're the only person in that space.
Yeah.
Nobody else was in there. So, it was my sanctum. But yeah, Lewis, if you got to build a shed, man.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I'll help you out.
Because I'm gonna take that bad boy completely apart, and everything I touch, I'm gonna clean it, paint it. Do what I gotta do.
Right. Now, do you have a plan? Were you thinking about sending the body out before you do anything else, or were you going to do mechanical?
No, I'm gonna do mechanical. Because, like you said, I don't want to scratch it, and so that'd be the last thing.
That's what I thought. I figured once I put do the engine, tranny, and rear, I'm still going to be tweaking everything, and I was tweaking it for like 3 years. And every time you jack it up or move it, there's a chance of scratching it or chipping it, or just bumping into it. And I said, I want to make sure everything is kind of dialed in before I get to that point. And and that was, and plus you get to enjoy it. You get to drive it when other people wouldn't be driving their car. So, I mean, the last thing you want to do is drag, because it gets dragged out so long. I mean, I had these days. I would come in the house dirty from head to toe. My wife be like, "Wow, you look filthy. It's like the old days again. You look terrible but you're still smiling. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? It was a good day. I busted my ass. I said, but like today was a bad day. I went like 2 steps forward and 3 steps backwards. Like some stuff I did, I had to redo, take stuff apart. Something didn't fit. And she's like, well, yeah, I was wondering why you're in so early. You know, now I'm in at like 5 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock. I said, no, I had to close the door, shut out the lights. I said, but I'm going back out there tomorrow. I said, and this is what happens. Guys won't go back out tomorrow because they'll get pissed off and they won't go back the next day. And then they'll put like the seat, the deck cushions on top of it, the pool toys, and next thing you know, you can't sit in the car, right?
Yeah.
And now they're not going back to it because they can't get to it. Now there's another excuse. And I said, that's not happening. I said, I'm focused on that goal, and it can kick my ass all at once. I'm going to kick it back because I'm driving this bitch as well, sooner than later.
That's what happened with my motorcycle. My wife kicked me out of the house a couple times because I was like, I'm done. I'm not touching it no more. She's like, get back in the garage and finish that bike.
Good for her. That's good. You know what? Sometimes you motivator. Yeah,
it's true. When I was building my bike, I built a set of fiberglass bags for my bike. Man, I built one and I thought I had them the same size. I put them next to each other. I'm like, and it's short. There's a difference in it. And I was like, are you kidding me? I don't know what happened. So I had to start all over. I only did one to match the other after that.
Yeah.
But I learned my lesson and learned a whole new skill set, how to fiberglass. So
yeah.
We were doing that years ago when I was painting my Superglide. I did it with a friend, and I laid out the flames. I laid out all the tape work and all. And my buddy was saying, "Well, man, how are you going to get it symmetrical?" I'm like, I don't know how these guys get it symmetrical. I said, I'm not that good. I said, I'm just going to shoot for getting it close. I mean, on a car, you don't see side to side because you can't be.
You can't be on both sides. Yeah.
On a bike, you can. And I said, you know what? I think I'm going to go with a non-symmetrical deal and not even make excuses about it.
It's on fire.
And it looked great. It looked fine. Yeah. I didn't have a standard I had to work up to because I'm not an artist in that regard. That's not my profession. And
you're doing it for you, not anybody else.
And of course, when we got all said and done and finally painted it and got the flame color done, it ended up that I have a picture of it. One of the designs kind of looked almost like a mushroom head, which kind of looked a little, at it. It kind of looked, every time I looked at it, I was like, yeah, that guy, I didn't see that in the tape.
Hey, you knew it was a male bike.
Oh, yeah, totally. It didn't have a female name on it. Like, and you know what? I figured, everybody's going to call me out on this. And nobody ever did. Only the guy who did it with me knew it. Every time he saw me, he's like, hey, how's it hanging? Right. That was pretty funny. Yeah. Funny stuff.
I do that with my pinstriping sometimes. I'll pinstripe something and I'll sit back and look. I'm like, oh, no, that's not going to go. Let me put some more lines on here.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, we had Artie Schilling on the show on Sunday from, right? Artie from Artie's
Party? I know Artie. Yeah, Artie's Party up here in Syracuse.
Right. And then, of course, Artie's party now is done because they're not doing it anymore. But he kept the name and he handed off the event to one of the guys from Poughkeepsie. I forget the guy's name who he handed it off to. But he'll still do like an Artie's Party thing down in Myrtle Beach where he's at. So we had him on the show on Sunday. And again, you talk to these guys and Artie's a great friend. We've been friends with him for years. And we talked about some of that stuff, like things that go wrong, happy accidents, and how do you handle mistakes. And he's like, listen, he goes, even guys like me who've been doing it, he's 75. He's been striping since he's 13 years old, he said. He says, listen, it doesn't always work the way you expect it to. He says, but you just get better at covering it and filling it. It's like
Artie, I spoke with Artie one time on the phone. This is so cool. I was talking to someone. I says, I really want to get Gene Winfield's autograph. I want it bad.
He told the story on Sunday.
So he was with them, and he handed a phone to Gene Winfield, and Gene talked to me for a few minutes. And the next thing you know, in the mail, I got a picture about this big, all autographed to me and everything from Gene Winfield.
You know what?
Wow.
He just told the story, that exact story on Sunday, and I don't remember. Yeah, I'll go back and look. Well, you know what? If you go to motormouthradio.com, you can listen to the show.
Okay.
And I, now I apologize if I don't remember if he said your name, because he may have, because that was the exact story he told.
Yeah, he's real good friends with Gene, and he sent me a private message and he goes, "Hey, I'll hook you up." He goes, "What's your phone number?" So I gave him my phone number, and I never thought in a million years. There again, that's one of those phone calls that you get unexpected. And he gave the phone to Gene, and Gene talked to me for a little bit, and I got off the phone, and I'm like, "Wow, that was so cool."
Well, listen, Alan, Alan's out there working with Gene, and and we're trying to put some stuff together where we're going to do a documentary on Gene Winfield, and so in the next, next month or so, we got some stuff happening. So
that's good. We're looking to get him on Motor Mouth Radio too. I had spoke with Gene a couple times at the Syracuse Nationals. And what a nice guy. I mean, there's a guy who'll just, like Artie, he'll talk to you. He didn't even know who I was, and he was talking to me, graciously, which was very nice.
And the stuff he's done for the movie industry and everything.
Yeah.
Because I'm a prop freak too.
Oh yeah.
Plus a bunch of other stuff. But the stuff that he's built for the movies and stuff, and then when you find out that he did that, it's like, no kidding.
Yeah.
The car stuff for the movies is just amazing. And Star Trek was unbelievable, the stuff he did for Star Trek.
Didn't Gene didn't he build the transport,
Galileo,
yes. Yeah, that was a Winfield creation. Yeah,
he built that.
I mean, that was pretty angular and cubic.
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't like
a box with the nanocells on the bottom, that little shuttle that came out of the Enterprise.
Right.
Not that I don't know anything about that stuff.
The shuttlecraft. Yeah, they called it the shuttlecraft.
Hey, have you guys watched Adam? What's his name?
Carolla?
From MythBusters.
Oh, Adam Savage.
Adam Savage.
Man, his YouTube channel, I could watch him all day. You got to go and check out his YouTube channel.
I was a MythBusters freak, man. I watched that show, I think, from the beginning to the end. I never missed one.
His YouTube channel is him in his shop, and he's just, one day builds, and he's just doing all kind of stuff, man. You got to go check it out. That's all I got to say.
Props.
And of course, now they're everybody's mourning the passing of Brad Imahara. He passed away just 2 weeks ago. Was he 47 years old? It's like, man, it was like some kind of a wacko, brain hemorrhage thing. Yeah, what a. I remember him back from BattleBots, the early days of BattleBots, because I love that show. That's one of my favorite. I can't wait when it comes back on TV. I love BattleBots.
Well, Adam talks about it, how incredible his mind was.
Yeah. He was an engineer. Definitely an engineer.
Yeah. But please go check out his YouTube channel.
I will.
It's Adam Savage. Yeah.
And that's the thing. We talk about this all the time, but like I was talking with Artie about it, and he was saying how down in Myrtle Beach, he says, being from Paterson, New Jersey, he says, he became the go-to guy for guys that come down that he can send them to for a guy. I said, Artie, that's like up here. I said, we say, look, I got a guy. I said, you need this guy, you need the other guy. If I give you the first guy, I can give you the second guy. I said, the first guy don't work out. I'll give you two other guys. So he was laughing. He goes, yeah, you get it. You know how it works. So the same thing with the engineering in the circle. We all have our circles, and we're all in a circle. And I always say I got my go-to guys, and those are the guys you call when you're stumped. You're against the wall, and you're like, you know what? I say it all the time. Like, I know how to fix this, or I know how to get around it. I'm just not seeing it. So I got to call somebody who can just put fresh eyes on it and say, hey, smack me in the head and say, hey, do this. Like, oh shit, why didn't I think of that? It's having your go-to guys, but you have that circle of guys who think alike, and that's one of the greatest gifts in life, to have those friends. And you guys are all qualified for that, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Lee in the chat room, he sent me a picture of
Gas tank?
That's the beginning. Wait a minute. Come on. All right. Wait a minute. And there's him working on it. Look
Oh,
at
is that what is that track?
it's a.
I thought it was a gas tank in the beginning, but now I'm not thinking.
Yes, so did I. It looks like a hood off of a.
Let's see if you put it on there. Hey Lee, tell us what this is. He's in the chat room, but he just sent it to me. Incredible work, though. Whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh, Lee gets involved with some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, I'm gonna jump off. If Lee wants to jump on, is he still in the thing? Let me see. He might have took a nap. Oh, he's in California, ain't he? He's still early.
Oh, it's a John
Deere. A
John Deere.
40 John Deere.
Wow.
Yeah, it is a hood of a tractor, John Deere.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, I'm gonna jump off and I appreciate everybody. So we're gonna try to get some folks on next week.
Yeah, I actually asked Artie if he'd come on the show. I sent him a link and look at the old shows. I said, "Come on in and come on a Thursday night."
Okay.
So we'll see. Hopefully he'll play and we'll get him on.
Sounds
Oh
good.
yeah, I love to talk to him again.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Sounds good, guys.
Okay.
All right, Lewis. Take care.
All right,
Thanks.
Keith.
Yeah. Oh wait, Lewis is here and Keith went away. What happened?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Crazy. So
company parts. John, you don't want to see a virtual show, do you? A virtual SEMA.
oh my God.
No.
They're talking about that at our tool expo.
Really?
Yeah, this year our expo is down in Florida and it ain't looking good. They're asking if they have it, how many people are going to go, and
So why don't they just change the location? Just and do Florida next year or whatever. Just
well, where are you going to put? I mean, I don't know if they supposedly this stuff is all planned out 3 years ahead of time.
Yeah. No, I would imagine it would have to be, but
and there's 1,800 of us, so that's distributors. So then you take distributor teams. That's 3,600. And if you bring family along, you're talking 5,000 people. We take over a place real quick.
yeah, think of the money that's pumped into the economy.
Oh, I know.
It's big.
And especially they do it like from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
And so we're done Wednesday, but a lot of guys will stay. And man, we wipe out some bars real quick.
Nice ice cream sandwich.
I had mine before we got on.
Sandwich.
Is that roast beef sandwich? What do you got there? You got some provolone in there?
No.
Nice.
Vanilla.
Nice. That's good.
So
What's up?
I was explaining to my daughter last night, John, about the margarita machine and
Gotta have it.
and what you bought. I said, "Oh," she goes, "I like John's idea." I'm like, "Yeah,
Everybody loves my idea.
yeah." Until I got to pay for it.
Dude, I got it for $500.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I think they're $3,000 new.
That was half my polishing bill the other day,
Yeah. Well,
and I'm not done. I gave him more.
the one I got when I got it was a little warm. Had to wear gloves.
Yeah, I was at the Belmore Cruise night one night, and there's a guy sitting there in a caddy. He's like in the 70s, wearing a fedora, nice paneled shirt. And I said, wait a minute, he's not hanging out with the car fellas, with all the goombas, and he was on his own. So I'm like, this is kind of weird. He was a standalone. So, and he had the doors open. So I'm looking at the car, and he had a cappuccino machine in the back of this car. Filled the back seat. I mean, this was polished brass and chrome. It was covered in plastic.
Nice Italian unit, huh?
So I looked at him, and I said, this is like the one you see in Umberto's, it's like in a restaurant, right? So I said, excuse me, let me ask you a question. I said, you got that hooked up? He's like, oh, you can't hook that up in the car. What are you kidding me? Eh? He goes, it's for sale, though. I'm like, okay, what's the deal? He goes, I bought this machine 8-10 years ago. I've been using it all the time. It's a restaurant quality, restaurant grade, came out of like Venice, Italy or whatever.
There you go.
I just had it completely refurbished, cleaned, and gone over. And he says, it's a $10,000 machine. I'm asking like $4,000 for this thing.
Wow.
Wow. I was like, well, why? I said, this has got to make like the best coffee in the world. Why are you getting rid of this? He goes, because I bought one that cost me like 25 or 30 grand, whatever it was. He goes, I went up to like this other one I wanted. He goes, and my wife said, if I don't get rid of this, she'll divorce me. I'm like, well, I don't make
$20,000 for a cappuccino machine.
Oh, yeah.
What do those things do? He starts crushing the grinds and steaming and pressure. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm lost.
I got a small countertop one. The same thing. You press, you go. I'm like, okay, is the quality the same? Not really, but is it drinkable? Absolutely. So anyway, I said, listen, I'd love to have that thing in my house. I said, but I don't have like the 6 feet of counter space to put it in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they take up a lot of room.
But I bet he knows a guy that can get you the counter space.
Yeah, he does. I'm sure he does. He probably
Exactly. And he's got a guy that'll hook it up for you too. Plumbing and
And
everything.
he got a guy that'll hook it up.
And he's got a guy selling you the coffee to put in it.
Wholesale.
Wholesale.
Below wholesale.
Better than wholesale.
Yeah.
Like they say. I got a guy who'll get it for you on the arm.
Java minus 10, right? J minus 10. That was the deal back in the day. J minus 10.
J minus.
Yeah, 10. My machine came out of a convenience store that was going out of business.
Nice.
And there was the lease thing on the back of it.
Yeah.
That's okay. Because it was just a stick-on.
Right.
See you later. Bye. If you need any parts for any kind of bun service equipment, you just go online.
Yeah.
They don't ask serial numbers or anything.
Right.
You just got to know the model number.
Right. It's all about who you know, knowing the guy.
Right place, right time.
When I stopped the shop yesterday, and there was one of the guys who's a new kid. He's was filling in, and he says, "Hey, I said, well, I'm going to take my car down off the lift. So I'm going to take it out. I got to get it inspected today." So now I got the bumpers on, so I got the lights in. I can,
Saw that photo. Looked good.
It's like, that was probably the one. Yeah, I was at that. I brought it back to the house. So I stopped back later on. I brought it back there to put it back in the shop. And he's like, "Hey, how'd the inspection go?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" I said, the car doesn't go in the shop. I said, I pulled up outside. I said, what sort of guy? He said, I give him the mileage. I said, he hands me the scraper and the sticker. And he says, he says to me, like, this is a shop owner. He goes, well, what's the mileage? I'm like, 3265. His head snapped. He looked at me. I said, I told you when I redid the car, it's a new car. It got new mileage. It went back to 0.
Exactly.
I fixed it. He goes,
I can't wait. I can't wait till I do mine, because I'm getting one of those, when I do the gauge package. I'm not going to go with that like we're doing in the Camaro.
The race pack thing? No.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go.
He did the Holly thing. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I'm going to go with auto meter gauges, because that's what I want to put in the car.
Good.
So I'll have the tack and the speedo, the 5-inch tack and 5-inch speedometer, and they come set at 0.
Right. Yeah.
And it's what do you call it? GPS speedo.
Right.
So I don't have to worry about anything. Just plug the GPS unit in and give it 12 volts of switched power, and there you got a speedometer. I
calibrated one of those in my friend's dune buggy. So we had to do like, a controlled run, X amount of, it was like, half mile. You had to do a certain speed. They had a whole, they may be different now. They may be even easier. It may self-calibrate.
I don't know. Well, it's GPS. I don't have one yet. I have not used one. And
well, that's how it calculates the distance, because it's by
GPS. When I was at SEMA, the guy was like, just put this little magnet pickup thing next to the windshield on the dashboard.
Right.
It says, and run the little wire into the back, and just make sure it's got 12 volt switched power, and done. Yeah.
No, they're easy. It's very
especially
easy.
Since there's really no speedometer output on the Lenco transmission.
Yeah. Right.
little difficult, you know.
You could have probably used like a
Probably
magnetic
one of those little
pickup.
little spring-loaded wheels,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Right.
Well,
You
I
know,
know
with
guys like guys. I tell you, guys in the bike world, in the chopper world, they didn't have speed. They were using like digital bicycle speedometers. They were mounted on the front wheel of the motorcycle.
Exactly.
And they were working. That would work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure. Hey, if it works, it works.
yeah.
No, I think it'll look good because I ordered that removable fiberglass dashboard.
Nice.
So
Listen, the picture you sent me last week of that monstrosity that's going in the interior of that Camaro.
yeah,
Oh God, I had no idea he was doing that.
beautiful stuff.
Well, yeah, beautiful stuff, but that's really like more like custom show car stuff.
Yeah.
To me, that doesn't fit.
Oh, it's
not
perfect for a pro touring car.
I don't know.
The seats match. Everything.
No.
It's a pro touring car. Everything matches.
Yeah, I kind of get, but I'm more of a utilitarian guy. I want to see.
No, this has got custom. It's black with the rivets, with the red, piping, and
Yeah,
it looks like a $10,000, interior. And
I can only imagine when he
anywhere
gets
near that.
I can only imagine when he gets that interior fully.
Well, what's pretty
I
funny.
want to see it when it's done. I want to see pictures when it's done.
Yesterday, a buddy of Lou's Lou and his buddy John contacted me last Friday. There's a 73 Trans Am that's for sale down here.
I like 73s.
And John wants to buy it. And there's only a couple of photos of it. And he was like, I need to get eyes on this thing. And he called Lou and he was talking to Lou and showing Lou the ad. And Lou says, I got a guy. And he called me up. And he goes, you're the Trans Am guru. You got to go look at this car for my buddy. So I was like, oh, okay, not a problem. So I went yesterday. And it turns out that it's part of a huge collection of about 40 vehicles.
Wow.
Owned by a guy that has, I think, like 25 or 30 car washes scattered around Florida.
Really?
Yeah. So I roll up on this huge building. I'm talking like 25,000 square feet. All brick, beautiful, like clay-colored brick with green trim, 10-foot chain link fence with barbed wire on it, electric gate, the whole deal. And I hit the ring, and the guy lets me in, and it's this magnificent shop with the polyurethane floor and the big ass fans and the huge LED commercial lighting, and there's car after car after car. There's a big giant Mack, kind of like a tow truck, and the running boards are on the floor.
Wow.
This bagged rat rod Mack pickup with a turbo diesel, and it's got typical, rat rod stuff, like junk that's welded on top of something else to make something. And the tail lights, the guy that built it machined the top of the piston off.
Mm-hmm.
So you just had the barrel with the rings and the skirts, and then they put the taillight lens inside it.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of cool stuff. And then he's got a 69 Mach 1 that they're building into some crazy car. They're putting some huge, I think like a 460 that's like bored and stroked out to like 540 inches with a narrowed rear and a roll cage, and that's being built.
Yeah.
And there's just all of these different vehicles. And I'm talking to the guy that actually is the head mechanic for this guy that owns these cars. And he tells me that there's another shop that's about 38,000 square feet that has all of the finished cars in it.
Really?
I'm like, oh my God. So anyway, I roll up on this Trans Am and I run the VIN number, and it's a legit 73 Trans Am.
They're 400?
That's the weird. No. It's a bastard car.
Okay.
It's got a 540 big block Chevy in it with Holly fuel injection.
Okay.
It's got a 4-speed overdrive transmission in it. Hotchkiss front end and Hotchkiss 4-link rear, like I did with the mini tubs and the whole 9 yards.
Right.
The car is absolutely awesome. It's black. The weird part is using the website that helps you decipher the VIN number.
Yeah.
The letter code that comes up or the number code that comes up for the engine.
Oh, yeah.
For 73, they don't list. I don't know. There's something wrong with this website. It's misinformation. It doesn't even list a 400 or a 455. It said that the code, the VIN code, said the car had a 305 in it. They didn't have a 305 in 73. Not in a Firebird ever. It would have been a 400 or a 350. It was a legit Trans Am. It should have been a 455. A 455 HO or a Super Duty. So I don't know what the story is with that. I told this guy John he needs to do some more research on the VIN. Yeah.
A book like this. And I'll tell you something about engine numbers on Pontiacs. They reuse them so often.
Yeah.
So many different engines. Case in point, back in 1980 something, I had Alan Blake come to my house to write me up collector car insurance for my Pontiac and for my Challenger.
Sure.
And he looked at my Pontiac and he says, "Oh, it's a YS engine. Good. It's a 389 for 65. No problem." And I'm thinking, no, it's a 1968 400 that I took out of a 68 GTO that also was a YS.
Oh, wow.
They
my Firebird, the 70, it was a WT.
Yeah, that's another popular designation. But they reuse the letter designations all the time on Pontiacs.
Well, I'm because the original motor's long gone, so I'm reading off the VIN tag.
Yeah, you got to look at the date code on the back of the block by the distributor to know what year.
Well, no, I was looking to find out. I went there because this car's been, highly modified.
Yeah.
So none of us knew if they're selling this thing as a 73 Trans Am.
Right.
But for all I knew, it could have been a 72 Esprit.
They could have you could have changed the sheet metal.
73 nose. But the VIN code says right from the start that the car is a Trans Am. I believe it's a letter V or something. Oh, wait a sec. Hold on. I know what it is.
What was the engine code?
I'll give it to you. Hold on one sec.
I mean, this is for GTO. I have a Trans Am book somewhere. I have to look through all the other crap.
I can tell you.
You just concentrate on Ford numbers.
Yeah, right.
Just
Does Ford actually have numbers?
Well, actually, I had a question because I had a buddy of mine come by, and I didn't know what position. I guess that 69 Mach 1's all done, right?
No.
Okay, you ready?
Because I got factory fenders he wants to get rid of.
Okay.
And I didn't know if you needed. I didn't know if you guys.
I'll mention to him.
Okay.
All right. Here's what we got, and this is off of awful. This is the number that I took down, and then I transposed it based on the website that I was on. So it's 2, which comes up as Pontiac. V, which comes up as Trans Am. 87, 2-door coupe. Y is the next letter, which, according to this website, says 301, which we know there's no Trans Am with a 301 in 73.
Should be later, yeah.
After Y is the number 3, which designates model year 73.
Uh-huh.
N, which means it came off Norwood, Ohio's line.
Right.
And then it's car number 109182 is the production number.
So that Y is what's in contention.
Yeah. That was the only thing that was like. But on the list, in other words, when you're looking at this web page, they give you a sample VIN number, and then they give you lines that go down and then over.
Right,
okay?
right. Sure.
And in the grouping of engines, it didn't even have 400. It didn't have 455. It didn't have a nomenclature for like a Super Duty or an HO. None of that stuff was in the area of 73 to 75.
Well, that was there. Those cars did have 400s. They had 455s. They had SDs.
Right.
The HOs were in GTO. They may or may not have been an HO engine, but they definitely had SDs because the 73 HD SD 455 is one of the most sought after Trans Ams there is.
Which is the 400 that came out of my Firebird formula. I sold to a friend of mine because he had a 73 Trans Am and he took the Super Duty motor out.
Yeah.
He mothballed it and he sold it like 20 years later for almost $50,000.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
that's crazy.
You know, he was like, well, the car is going to come and go. He goes, but the engine and transmission, that's going to be worth money. So he pulled both of those out of the car and mothballed them and held onto them in his garage forever. And then he decided, okay, now's the time.
Right.
And by that time, the car was long gone. As a matter of fact, it's weird. He wound up selling the car with my motor, with a rebuilt transmission he bought from Amco Transmissions, a Turbo 400. And an old girlfriend of mine, her younger brother bought the car.
Really?
It was like I could never get away from that car for years.
Right.
And I'm like, the motor that's in that car came out of my car. What are you talking about? They go, that's a 400 out of my 70 Formula 400.
Yeah.
They go, that motor's probably worth some money. But who knows?
Yeah, they all are. I mean, that's one of the things I keep saying I should do. I bought a bunch of stuff from a guy on Randall's Island a few years ago, and I have two 400s and a 455 under my bench.
Yeah.
That I should really sell because I'm probably never going to use them.
Well, this car is really super nice, and it had some really good modifications that they did to it. Somebody really took their time. As a matter of fact, I may even steal some of the ideas I saw. They got rid of the stock outside door handles.
Yeah.
They put a recessed pocket in the rear quarter panel. And then behind the door was a button. So you could slide your hand into it. Was like kind of like a relief for your fist.
Yeah,
to go into the quarter and to the behind the door and push the button, and it had a popper.
Okay.
Pop the door open. It looks really good on that body style. Because it's smooth. There's nothing there. You just see that pocket where you put your finger in. The thing I don't like is the fact that it's electric. Electric stuff fails every now and then. So what are you going to do? Keep the car sitting around with the window open?
I was going to say leave the window open, yeah.
You know? So
I
would like to be able to find some way to do the same thing, but to have some sort of mechanical linkage. In other words, like if this is the door and you're like, here's the quarter panel, take it away, have a flap inside, spring loaded. So you put your hand in that little recess and you squeeze the door, and the mechanical linkage opens the door, just like lifting the handle on the stock one.
I saw a guy do that years ago, but what he did is he ran a cable down, and under the rocker panel, you'd grab a little, like a hood latch.
That's what they have on those.
Yeah, and that's your mechanical override.
Mustang.
Yeah, I would do it. I would do the whole thing mechanically, though. I wouldn't do the poppers with the.
See, I don't know.
Electric.
People say, the door handles on my car, which are the old GM, push the button. Oh, you got to take them off. They don't bother me, man. It's a door handle. It's solid. Yeah. But the ones on the
I have no love for the 70 to 81 Firebird and Camaro outside door handle. It's just a bar.
Yeah, and you lift it up. I mean, the only problem that I had with those was I changed a lot of them for people because in the winter they would freeze up.
Yeah,
break.
I've seen them break. I've seen guys grab them and it's that hot metal.
Yeah,
and they snap.
The arm on one of the arms will break. But you're not gonna have a freeze.
I never had a problem with the stock door handles. It's just that I'm like, you know what? If I'm kind of doing this kind of work, maybe I should do something a little custom.
I mean, a lot of people use those Kindig handles that are flush, that kind of pop out.
Yeah, but none of them work for me.
Yeah. Okay. You got to go with what you like. Yeah.
He's got the one that looks like a 67 to 69 style. It looks like a spoon, but when you think about it, it's a recreation of a stock one because you got that place where you put your thumb.
Right.
Then he's got this like thin one that you push in and you pull.
Right. That's the flush one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably the nicest one I've seen, and I need to look up on the model line is on what do you call it? Jesus, I'm losing my mind.
You know I like
what's his face?
I like C3 Corvette handles where you actually put your hand in.
Yeah, that's a nice idea. If the door's got that kind of a top.
Yeah, those I like.
I would like to do like a C3, but behind the door.
Right. That's what I was thinking of when you described it.
Like
a C3, but horizontal.
Yeah.
Sorry, vertical.
I've seen some really, really nice ones on the electric cars.
Oh, yeah.
There's some really cool looking stuff. I don't know. I'll probably just get stock handles. I have stock handles. I have brand new stock handles. They're sitting in a box.
Yeah.
I bought them from a guy that bailed out of his restoration. I got all of the rubber to go around the doors, around the roof for the windows. I got new outer door handles. I got new door catches. I have all of that stuff sitting in a box.
I'm telling you, that's what I got to do this weekend, the weather stripping and the stainless. But I got my buddy that runs the shop, and I asked him, I said, I need a hand with this stuff. I said, because I'm not a body guy. I've never done like a lot of weather stripping and trim. I'm a mechanical guy. I take parts off and replace and rebuild. And like, I don't do this she stuff, you know? He's like,
it's easy. You just got to use a nice, very light rubber hammer and you tap it on.
Not what I
the weather stripping, they have those, it's got those plastic anchors.
Yeah.
All you do is you're just pushing it into the holes.
I actually said to him, just
areas where there's a screw, you know, it's a little black screw.
I just asked him to start me off. I said, I just need you start me off and then get me going. And I'm sure once I see it, I'll be able to figure it out. But just not my, it's never my world, you know.
Unreal. Hey, I got all that.
Yeah, you were saying how. Wow. Oh, nice. The cover. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. You know what's really cool? The tag says warning. It's got the California cancer warning.
Prop 65.
And then underneath that, it says, do not consume.
Yeah, I'm going to eat this stuff. It's so nice.
Yeah, I got nothing better to do than eat this nylon braided tube.
Right. Yeah, right? Yeah.
But it's nice stuff. Looks real good.
Very nice.
Yeah. Split loom.
Nice.
So it comes in. This was a way better deal than American Auto Wire. I'm sorry. Really? American Auto Wire, they got my money for the wiring harness. It's perfect. But this loom stuff, 5 10-foot rolls of 5 different sizes, from 1/4 inch all the way up to 1 inch, and it was like $80.
Wow! And what company was that you got that from?
I'm trying to think of the name. They don't even. There's not even a name on the packaging. Believe it or not. I got it at A-Tech. You can get it at a Summit. Yeah, believe it or not, it doesn't even have their name on it.
They should have. Well, when they sold those horses, the next thing they should have said was, "Hey, you know what? Do you want the looms with that?" And you probably would have said, "Oh yeah, of course I do."
Well, because I'm ordering out of a wholesaler, I'm picking the part numbers.
Yeah,
it's not like I'm dealing with a salesman.
Oh, okay.
I go online. All of my wholesale stuff, it's all online for me.
Right.
I got my login, go in through the back door, do what I got to do, and I'll search around. And it may be, I may start putting stuff into my shopping cart, and I won't close that cart for a week, sometimes 2 weeks.
Really?
So I'm like, I'm working on the car, and I'm like, oh, I need this. So what I do is, if I know the exact company that I want to deal with, then I just go there.
Uh-huh.
If it's something where I'm like, okay, wire loom. First thing I did was I went to American Auto Wire and I drilled down and I found the wire loom and I jotted down the price. And then I just went up to the search bar and I put electrical wire loom, black braid. And it came up with like 400 hits.
Yeah.
So I start drilling down, and what it is you find there's like 8 companies that they sell that make it, and then there's different ways of packaging it. You can buy a single bag of one size. You can buy 5 single bags. You could buy 10 single bags. You could buy 100. You could buy a whole box of one size, 100 feet, for guys that do like stereo installation, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I scroll around, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, well, look at this. This guy here, this is way less money. Well, this one's way more money. And then you find out who's got like the best package, you know, and boom, that's what goes in the cart. So I think actually this delivery that came yesterday is the absolute last thing I needed to order for this car.
Nice.
And I'm sure Rocco will be really happy with that.
Yeah, well, but you too, because that means you're that much closer to getting onto your car.
Well, it's wiring is all I got to do. The only other thing I need to do is, because he wanted me to put a line lock in the car. And you know how they give you that line lock button with the rubber band around it that slides over the shifter handle?
Yep.
But his shifter, the handle's pretty short.
Yeah.
So when you put the knob on and you slide that thing over and you stick on it, it's in the way, totally in the way. So I bought the Hurst one with the button in it.
Button, right.
But it's the wrong thread.
So
it's not a problem though, because it's 7/16 thread. So all I need to do is just go in there with a drill bit and retap it into 1/2-inch thread. There's enough meat on this brass insert that I could do that.
7/16 18, I think it is.
Yeah, his is 1/13.
1/13 is coarse. Yeah.
Yes. So this will be fun. This will work perfect for him. And he'll wind up with a ball.
When I've had to make a conversion like that, I've actually, when I had 2 sizes that were a little strange, I've taken a bolt that fit into the female thread and then cut it and then center drilled it and tapped the inside of that to adapt to the other thread. And that gets you out of a jam a lot of times.
Yeah.
They sell that.
Do they? Oh, man, it's more fun making it. Come on, now I'm in the garage. I got the saw, the drill press. I'm making smoke. I'm smoking cigar. I got the coffee going. I got freaking, Eric Clapton on the freaking CD player. I'm listening to slow hand.
They also, when a lot of times when you buy a Hurst handle, they come with all these inserts.
Oh, okay.
That you screw in. But unfortunately, I have to go the other way.
Yeah.
I have to go larger.
Yeah, the last one I bought, I thought, I was smarter, too smart for myself.
This is actually fine thread. This is 7/16 20.
Okay. When I was buying my 5-speed, I had bought, I'm sorry, it was way before I was even thinking of the 5-speed. I was buying parts through Summit, and I bought a T-handle, because I always used a T-handle on my Muncies and on my Borg Warner.
Yeah.
So I bought a T-handle with a button. I figured you could fit a line lock.
I had the same one.
And of course, when I got the 5-speed, it was a different thread. And it ended up, those 5-speeds got to be shifted with a ball. You got to have a ball. You can't have a T-handle. T-handle for a 4-speed. Literally feels totally different. So
I had various shifters through the years. I had a Mr. Gasket vertical gate for a while.
Yeah, the vertigates are cool. Yeah,
a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
it makes a huge hole in the floor. It's ridiculous. And then when I really got into actually trying to race a 4-speed, the Competition Plus just wasn't making it.
Okay.
And the Super Shifter 3 was the way to go because it had the shortest gate.
Right.
But with the fact that it's such a short stick also, that one worked out perfect with a ball and that slip-on line lock that went right below the ball. So when I had to do the burnout, I would just grab it like this and use the bottom 2 fingers to hold the line lock.
Right.
And then move my hand up and kind of palm the ball in order to go through the gears.
I missed
that shifter, and I to this day I don't understand why Hurst continues to make shifters, yet they discontinued that shifter,
Yeah, I don't
which
know.
was hands down the best 4-speed H pattern they ever invented, and you can't buy it anymore.
Yeah, I
And
saw
now
that.
all these guys on eBay,
Oh yeah, I saw that. They were asking
it
incredible
pissed me
money.
off because a guy will get one that's in perfect shape, and he'll tear it apart. They do the same thing with drums. They'll get a perfect Ludwig Vista Light floor tom, and they'll tear it apart and sell the shell, the lugs, the tuning screws, the hoops, the legs.
What
I know.
shifter are you looking for, John?
Early on, when I got the Firebird back, I was thinking of going to put a Ford top loader back in the car because I had the most fun with that car. When it was a big block with a Ford top loader with the Hurst Super Shifter 3 shifter. So I started.
They had the red lockout?
Yes. It had the little red lever that goes up and down. So when I was starting to collect parts, when in my head I was going to go back to those days, I went looking around for Hurst Super Shifter 3, found nothing, started doing some Google searches, and found all of these piecemeal, ripped apart ones all over eBay and on all of these classified ads and in Racing Junk, the whole deal. So to put one of those together, 9 times out of 10, you're dealing with 4 different people. Yeah. One guy's got the shifter, one guy's got the arm, another guy's got the linkage, and then you need the mount and the linkage arms to fit your transmission.
That's right.
Where back in the old days, you bought the Super Shifter 3, and then you bought the mount kit with the linkage for your transmission. Yeah. It was 2 part numbers, and you were done. But then all of a sudden, this bright idea of, you know what? Why do I need that Ford top loader when I could put a Lenco transmission in the car?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just went with that.
What
the heck is that? Oh, that's like a vertical gate.
That's a regular Hurst shifter right there.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
That was like that's the competition plus.
Yeah. That other one with the little T-handle thing, the black little T-handle deal, it looks like a Mr. Gasket V-gate.
Or 4-wheel drive Bronco shifter.
What? I thought I had a super shifter.
Yeah. That's okay. I don't need one anyway. My buddy Evan was like, really, dude? You're going to put a Ford top loader back in your car? And I'm like, yeah, I had so much fun.
Yeah.
He goes, why wouldn't you put like a modern day overdrive?
I have it in my next room. I had the Borg Warner T10 in the car. Yeah. I love that T10. That was a great tranny.
My favorite transmission was the M22 that I kept killing.
So I had my Camaro.
And then, because of the noise it made, I loved it. But then once that guy, the Gremlin, hooked me up with that top loader, you couldn't kill that transmission.
From the M22, then I just went to the M21s. I was using those.
Yeah. I blew up 21s. I blew up 22 2 times.
You can grenade almost anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this one's
you know what it was? They were relatively stock. That looks like a super shifter.
Yeah.
But without the lockout.
This is a super shifter.
It's
got the short little stick.
Brian, if you ever want to date code those or really find out what they like, where they're, the lineage. Brian.
Yeah.
He's listening. Look at him. He's got the book.
This is the guy I turned you on to when we were talking about the Super Shifter.
Yes.
This is the guy. He wrote this freaking book. That's how I found it. I was like, holy crap.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This one doesn't say it on there. What number do they go by? The A number, the AL?
Well,
we have no idea.
It'll have a Hurst stamp on the bottom. It may not be actually. Can you see this, Brian? Is that showing up? Yeah. That's what the body would look like if it's a Hurst shifter.
Yeah.
It'll say Competition Plus right on it.
This one says Super Shifter.
It does.
And this one has Hurst, but it doesn't say anything on it.
Okay. You know,
It could be that one that just says Hearst may be for like a GM or a Ford.
it could have been.
Hearst used to make shifters for the big three.
They started in '66 with Pontiac. They started putting them in the GTOs.
In the levers on the bottom of the shifter, are there like rubber grommets in there? All of the factory Hearst shifters was not metal on metal.
Right.
It was a rubber insert, and then the linkage went into that rubber insert.
Yeah,
right.
I
Did
changed
that
them.
because it
All
was more
these
comfortable and less vibration back through the stick.
That's right.
Right, no. All these have metal bushings because I changed them all.
Yeah.
All these
You
have
changed
been in
them
the
out.
Mustang.
Right.
When I was in a
Yeah.
machine shop years ago, I actually machined my own bronze bushings for the shifter.
I used to get those when I worked at ATV. You just buy them from Hearst.
I made them.
You could pull the stock ones out, and they had a bronze with
Yeah.
that weird C clip.
Yeah, I made them at lunchtime. I sat there on the lathe and just whacked them out. But
Yeah, see, this one has the metal,
Yep.
metal cups and bushings.
Okay.
those are the ones we don't like. Yeah,
No, I like
I
those.
used the rod with the jam nuts, and they were not good. They sucked. You got to have the solid rod. You had to have solid rods, or Heim joints if you were stepping up. You know,
Yeah.
I never had Heim joint shifter. I always used the
Well,
solid.
the good thing about the super shifters is all of the linkage rods were straight.
Yeah.
There's no bends in
Yeah,
them.
and then I had the reinforced ones.
Oh yeah, that's reinforced, all right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This was like, here's the fact. I mean, this is a standard one right here.
That's another part of my retirement fund. I have about 4 or 5 of those Competition Plus shifters hanging in the garage.
There you go.
You know, just start selling them off.
And then, see, then you have your Z-bar.
Oh yeah, I got
Yeah,
a cluster of
zero.
those. Oh, that's long. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. The clutch counter shaft.
Yeah, right. I call it a Z-bar.
We all did, but by the you look at the factory designation, it's a counter shaft.
The one in the Mustang, or the one that I had in the Mustang, I bent, and then when we straightened it out, we took rebar and welded it on there. Never bent another one.
Yeah, right.
I bought a
Oh, Ford solenoid.
200 amp service. That should be more than enough on the starter.
I think so. Here you go, Brian. They even give you the factory sheets for the Mustang.
Oh yeah.
This is for all the different.
Cool.
Yeah, everything is in here for all the different cars. You know, all the factory.
And when the funny part is, when I was cleaning out the shed, I found a whole box of all the brackets.
What's that from?
Yeah, don't lose that stuff.
What is
I
that
mean-
from?
That's a shifter mount bracket.
I mean, look at all this stuff.
Yep.
That's weird. That ain't
This
GM.
one here, somebody, I think they put a
Cup holder.
Well, no, this was for some type of switch. I mean, I don't know if they
Cappuccino
were.
mount. Okay. That's a hell of a switch. It's like freaking 3/16 plate.
I know. Well, get carried away, whatever you want.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's got
Whatever
all-
you got laying around.
Man, that's a big bracket. Yeah, that's a big hunk of metal.
Yeah, but you know what? That's a super shifter bracket
Okay. Yeah.
because the super shifter sits back and high.
Yeah.
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 That bracket looks exactly like the bracket that was off my top loader.
Yeah. The stock GMs use that aluminum plate
Yeah.
to mount the shifter to the 3-bolt, the 3
No.
bolts on the
Yeah,
tram.
you're
On the
right. I think
Fords,
you're right.
on the
I wish
Fords, they
that-
mount off the tail shaft.
Okay.
Oh, there is a number. Oh, that's good. Yeah. But you also had on the top loader, you had your 2 different mounting points for a full body car and a small body car.
I'm seeing
I had the short tail shaft unit that came out of a Mustang.
like in here, Comet and Falcon's using like the GM mount. So is Mustang and Cougar. Oh, here we go. The 10-bolt top cover. This is like what he was showing right there. The bracket.
Yep.
See, was yours in the back like this?
Where is it? It's right. there.
No, that's the long one. Mine was up front.
Yeah, long shaft, yeah. But no, it's a fact. That's a Ford, whatever the application is.
Yeah.
Ford 10
My tail shaft housing was shorter than that. That looks like the kind that came in a Cyclone.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll have to look. I got the transmission on the other side. I'll have to look.
Yep. Mine was shorter tail shaft than that.
Oh,
And the thing weighed a ton because it was a cast iron box.
that's a long
no,
one.
the box.
Size of that
has
bracket.
This,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's pretty freaking long. And that's, there you go. Fairlane, Comet, and Cyclone. Yeah, for reference, I tell you, I love it when guys do this. We'll make books like this because it's all the factory information. It's the stuff that, everybody threw away.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, this one, I don't know what. I wish I marked the shit. I mean, it's only been 40 years later.
Now you get a trip over kick into that every time because you're going to put it down. You're not going to put it back where it came from. And you're going to kick. If you're like me, you'll be kicking into it and stubbing your toe. Like, son of a bitch, to put that in.
Sucks.
No, because I want to take it back over to the other side and look at the other transmission. I mean, the top loader I got.
Dig your damn car out and just make it run and drive it as a rat. You're going to be so happy. You'll be eternally grateful that I busted your balls to do it because trust me, I did it. It's the best thing.
I was thinking about when I finish the Trans Am, I may hold off on paint.
Well, like that's what I said. That's what I did, and I'm happy I did. Every time I took that car out, man, 30 years would just fly off my head.
Because the whole car, the whole car is like that really nice epoxy primer.
Yeah, who cares what it looks like?
So the fiberglass that's coming is black gel coat. They're not going to match, but it doesn't matter,
Right.
Just want to get the car up and running.
Yeah.
And the guy that's going to do the paint work for me, he's like, you could give me a running car. I'm not going to destroy it.
Well, I will. My car came back when I brought it to the house yesterday. I mean, there's dust everywhere. I got to douche the underside of it, but the whole end, even though they had the engine covered in plastic, everything is just and air. Just blowing it with air didn't do it. I had to use I use S100. It's a motorcycle cleaner.
Yeah,
I just sprayed the whole engine compartment, the engine, and everything with S100, and just hosed it off, and it took it off. So that dust will come off.
Standard procedure for us when I had the chassis shop is you build the car, you do all of the fabricating, and you got to think like 10 steps ahead. In other words, you're putting tabs in, or you're possibly welding in like ground studs.
Yeah.
You're punching holes and tapping them out for stuff that's got to mount somewhere.
Right.
And you physically build the whole car, including engine and transmission installation, all of that stuff. And then it all gets stripped out. And the car gets put on a dolly, and it's just a body and chassis that goes to the paint shop.
Right.
Some of the cars we built, the body was removable. So we would build the whole car, then pull the body off, put the body on its own dolly. That would go off to the body shop. The chassis would go off to the powder coater.
Yeah.
We'd get the chassis back. 3-4 weeks later, the body'd show up, mount everything carefully, and then do the plumbing and the wiring and firing it up. But everything was thought out ahead of time. So it was a matter of, going through all of these baggies and Tupperwares that were labeled of hardware for this, hardware for that, screws for this, terminals for that, and then the wiring guy would come in, or I would do the wiring.
Sure.
And lay out all the cabling and connect all the stuff that's got to go. All the tin work would go in. And, you got to be careful because you're working around a beautiful paint job.
Yeah. No, I know.
Everything is done. So you're not, I can't even remember going, oh, shit, I forgot to do this.
Right.
So it was a matter of like assembling jewelry. And you just do it, and then you hit the starter button, fire it up, roll the tires, make sure everything's working. You put it in the trailer, and you collect the rest of the money that's owed.
That's like I've been telling these guys. He's like, wow, your car, you're driving it. Like, yeah, like with your Chevelle. I said, you did it the opposite way. It came apart, did all the body, and then you fought with everything on the other end. All that,
Right.
I did all that already. It's already done. So I knew.
Yeah, I can't do that with mine. I have a lot of welding that's got to go on.
Yeah.
And things like, because I'm not making my body removable. So there's all kinds of strut work that comes off the chassis that grabs the quarter panels. So you have plates. You're gonna wind up putting the plate onto the body inside like the quarters. And you're gonna drill 4 holes right through the quarter panel, and then you're gonna put that plate on with Clecos.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna get in there and you're gonna tack weld, and it's a tube inside a tube. You start out with a larger one, you go to a smaller one. The smaller one is welded to the plate that holds the body on.
Yeah.
So then you take out the Cleco clips and you slide that plate inside the tube. You do your welding. When it cools off, you slide it back down. And then that plate, it doesn't get welded to the body. It literally gets fiberglassed and epoxied. We put this, use that stuff that you use to bond panels together with, panel bond on the back. You smash that thing into the body. You put the Cleco clips in to hold it in place. You let that panel bond set, and then you take strips of fiberglass and you glass over that pad. Done. When you paint the chassis, you paint the inside of the quarter panel. It all gets, it all walks away.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more work if you're going to make it. If it's a race car body that's like carbon fiber or fiberglass, then it's easy to take the body off. You're not lifting a stock steel second-gen body underneath a chassis. It's just not going to happen.
Good.
So,
hey, Brian, got a question for you from Lee Morgan. He sent a question before. He said he was arranging his sockets and he was putting his 6 and 12 points on the same rail. Is that a problem? Anyway, so he said he has a question for the tool man. He has a few sets of 12-point sockets, and what was the design purpose for that? He says he rarely uses them, and it seems they round the corners of the bolts. And I told him, I said, well, what brand sockets are they? They may just be shitty sockets, and that's why they're rounded off bolts. But so I guess you want to know what the application was for 12-point sockets as opposed to 6.
Well, I was just unfortunately, like manufacturer would change that stuff throughout different time periods. It's kind of like they would go 6 and then they went to 12 because it was by machinery wise. It might have, when they went to something pneumatic, it might the bolt or the nut could have fit on and stayed on. It was more area to grab. It's kind of like when they went to Torx, from an Allen to a Torx to a 12-point. It was just manufacturing wise, it was easier.
Okay.
And it would go on to the equipment. And of course, it seems to be like a cycle of time because everything will be, all of a sudden you look on a car, everything is a 12-point. And then 2 years down the road, everything goes back to a 6 or to an Allen.
He wasn't talking about 12-point bolts. He was talking about 12-point sockets.
Right. And
you can use this
because of
on a hex bolt, on a hex head bolt or nut, you can use a 6 or a 12-point socket.
No.
Sure you can. I've done it. I prefer 6-point. That's what I've always used. That's what I buy.
If you have a 12-point, you can't put a 6 on it.
No, not on a 12-point bolt, but on a hex head bolt with 6 sides, you can put a 12-point socket on that.
Right. But I'm just talking about during the manufacturing period when they were using the fasteners that were 12 points.
Yeah, he's talking about the tools, not the hardware, the actual.
Right, but that's why they made the tool.
Okay, but then again, 12-point sockets have been out. If
you go to a place, if you're not going to spend good money, it's actually kind of hard to find 6-point stuff. In other words, like if you go like a place like Harbor Freight, you're going to find a bazillion socket sets that are all 12 points.
Okay.
And not a lot of 6-point sets.
Wow.
And
Same thing with the
one of
wrenches.
biggest reasons
You're going to find a lot of 12-point, open and closed end wrenches.
like this is this one's a Mako one, but even like the
What a surprise.
yeah, well, okay, and then like the Snap-on one's 12-point here too.
Right.
But also the biggest reason is because you have different degrees of area. If you only had 6, you only have 6 places to put your wrench.
Okay.
A 12-point gives you different radius or.
It's angular degrees, and it gives you twice as many. Right.
So I mean that's for that one last little snug or your angle. But as
but if you're using it on a ratchet, it doesn't matter. On a wrench, it would, but on a socket, it wouldn't matter.
That's correct. Yeah.
And a 12-point socket beats the crap out of the corners of the bolt.
That's what Lee was saying.
There's not a lot of contact area.
He was getting rounded hardware, but I took that could be
cheap hardware too.
Or the hardware or the tool, right.
Grade 3, which has no markings, or grade 5 is going to round off a lot quicker than a grade 8.
Yes.
And if you look at any of the new stuff, most of it's spline drive.
Yeah.
Because it's grabbing the sides instead of the actual corners, and that keeps you from rounding out. Puts all the pressure on the side of the bolt instead of the corner of the bolt. That's the problem with. That was a problem with. Remember when they talked about the Mac, new Mac wrenches, and it had the V here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this is a Mako one, and this is about 22 years old, and we had that way before.
Uh-huh.
But the problem is, it made a great fit, but it was a stress point there, and they all would crack and break off.
Okay.
But it's somebody bringing back something old thinking it's new.
Yeah, no, I've been seeing that, a lot.
You can only reinvent the wheel so many times.
Yeah.
True.
And that's the problem, because when somebody says, "Hey, what's new?" It's nothing's really new, just a new color maybe.
The newest thing that I've seen, not in person, I've only seen it on the internet, but that looks intriguing is that Mac stuff, that RBRT. They took it for their Torx type sockets. It's actually a bit that'll fit in an Allen or a Torx or a 12-point. They kind of redesigned
still around.
Yeah, they are. They kind of redesigned it. It looks really cool. They're hyping it and they're pushing it. I haven't had it in my hands. I haven't gotten to use it, but it looks very interesting.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, Ray, to go back to the other show.
Yeah.
We were talking about the workbenches.
Uh-huh. The other show, yeah.
Earlier in the show.
Right. It looks like
I got 2 of these. You can't kill them.
Butcher block. That's what I got in the garage. Yes, sir. That's what I got in my basement too.
I got them from a guy over in Clearwater. Had a machine shop.
Yeah.
He had like 10 of them.
Yeah.
He was retiring. He was selling, like 5-axis milling machine, and this guy had everything. But only thing I needed was the workbenches, so I bought 2 of these. I got them for $80 a piece.
Nice.
And they weigh like 250 pounds. You can't move.
Did you have to cut either of them to make them fit into a space?
No. I have one.
It ain't easy.
One against the wall as the workbench in the back. And then this one's like the floating workbench, and it fits perfectly here next to the car in front of the toolbox.
Yeah, they are not easy to cut. I've done it. Like that saw.
Oh, no. It's got that. These things were in really nice shape before I got them. Yeah. But now they're all like scratched up and marked up and the whole deal. But you know what?
You know what I did in the garage? In the garage, I took them and I used aluminum sheet. And I attached aluminum sheets on it to kind of give me a metal surface and protect the wood. In the basement, I just have the butcher block, and I can see that's getting kind of, a little more beat up.
But a buddy of mine, you can sand these things and then polyurethane them, and they'll come right back.
A buddy of mine took out a bowling alley.
Oh wow!
He made benches out of that, and I tell you one thing. he went through about half a dozen saw blades cutting those things.
Yeah.
Those
How
things
thick is
are-
that tongue and groove that they use for the alley?
Right, and plus they're nailed. I mean, they're
Wow.
nailed like every inch, not even inch, quarter of an inch. They got like nails going different directions to
Wow.
keep the wood. And man, I tell you one thing, you want to talk about beating the shit out of something that does not put a mark on it, man.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is insane.
Well, think about those bowling balls.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know that.
No,
I'm
I
just
bang
saying
on
it
these
was a-
benches. I bang on them all the time, and it's like nothing phases them.
I love these benches. They're the best benches I ever bought. And I know
Yeah.
they're real expensive if you go to like MSC or one of these other companies.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
a lot of money.
Sure.
They got the
I put
really, really
I put all
nice
stainless steel
leveling
in mine.
legs with the rubber insert under them.
Okay.
So you can square them up, and then they're solid. They're great.
Yeah, mine's all stainless steel.
Yeah, nice.
So
Boy, another night this thing's going over 2 hours.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lewis.
yeah. So I don't know.
Oh, anyway,
I got-
getting back to that guy that had these cars that I looked at.
Yeah.
So this Trans Am is spectacular. But anyway, the guy John called me. The guy doesn't want to drop even $500 down on the price.
Really?
Yeah, he's an idiot. So who knows? If he doesn't get his price, he's going to take it to Orlando to the Meekum auction. and
Right.
sell it there. So I told John, I'm like, just go to the auction. I said, you'll probably get it for less than you were looking to buy it for.
Imagine.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what kind of market there is for a pro touring modified 73 Firebird with a Chevy motor in it, you know?
You just got to be the right buyer in the crowd. Yeah.
Exactly. But anyway, this mechanic guy that I was talking to, this guy has he has one of the Eleanors from the first movie and the second movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This guy goes to the auction out in Arizona, Barrett Jackson. He goes to Barrett Jackson, Palm Beach. He goes to all of these auctions. So he's got the money to buy cars. He sees something cool, he spends the dough.
Yeah. Well, hey. That's
So he's
it.
got a collection of stuff. He's got a recreation of the. He's got a Batmobile. He's got a Ghostbusters car.
Okay.
He's got some quirky stuff.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
The movie cars.
Yeah, he's into movie cars. Besides weird trucks.
What are you playing with, Brian?
I had a half-inch.
The hell is that, John?
The moth.
It's like a bat.
I know. It's huge.
I had a half-inch gun that I had to rebuild tonight, and I thought I had an anvil here.
Ah.
I've got the trigger kit, but
Doing
he had
laps around the
rounded off.
garage.
We were just chased in the house twice. Last night, it's been hot. It's like in the 80s and a little muggy. We were going to eat outside last night, but there were just like freaking ants all over the table, on the bottom, on the top, just everywhere. So I told my wife, screw this. Bring the shit back inside. We'll eat inside. Okay. So tonight, she had everything set up outside, and she's cooking wings on a barbecue. And all of a sudden, we got these freaking like black, they're like gnats, but big gnats, because one landed on me, and it was just all over the place. I'm like, you know what? She's getting bit. My daughter's getting bit. I said, frick, take the shit back in the house again. So she actually brought it up to me. She says, what kind of bugs do they have in Florida? Like, where do they got?
Boy.
Well, they put nets around everything. They net the pool. I said, I'll ask John what kind of bugs they got in Florida.
Let me tell you, I got a pool cage. You don't get bit. It's nice.
Yeah, but if you didn't have it, what would you be getting bit by?
Oh God, let me tell you something. We have, because it's the rainy season.
Yeah,
it happens every year. These tiny little bugs. You don't even see these things. I think we call them no-see-ums. That's like the name for this bug. You get out of the truck to go gas the truck up, and it's like so hot and humid, and all of a sudden, they're in your face. It's like, where the hell did they come from? And you're like swatting them around, and God forbid you leave the door of the truck open while you're, gassing up or getting the mail or whatever. They wind up in the truck, and they live for days swimming around and all around the truck. It's like a pain in the neck. They land on the windshield. I'm like banging them on the windshield, trying to kill them.
Right.
So you got those. You got those freaking palmetto bugs, those brown cockroaches.
Right.
Oh my God. Those things are disgusting. There's billions and billions of these little lizards.
Oh, yeah.
They're called annals.
Uh-huh.
They're everywhere. And if you got an opening, they will get in. They eat other little bugs, though. So they're really good to have them. Well, naturally, you're going to have them all around the outside of the house. They're up in the trees. They're on the side of the house. They're on the garage door. You get used to them, and they're pretty good. But
what happens when they get bigger?
No, they only get like this big, max.
That's it? Okay.
They don't get big. Yeah, They don't grow into a lizard. They're real small. We have a dog door in the pool screen.
Mm-hmm.
Those are never perfectly sealed tight, Right. And then there's another dog door, and like when you come in my house and you go into my living room, the whole wall is glass sliders. Mm-hmm. So when you open them, they all like nest inside each other. Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
And I have like a 25-foot wide opening.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So when you get the nice weather and the AC's not running, you slide open all of those glass partitions, and you just walk right out into the pool cage area.
Nice.
So it's like super nice. So all the way on the one end, there's a dog door there. And it's got that flap deal, So sometimes they work their way in, or the cat will be hanging out on the patio.
Yeah.
And one will go in like by the pool, and then he grabs it, and he's like chewing on it, and he'll like bite the tail off, and the thing's running around. It's got no tail. It's a pain.
Yeah.
Those are a pain. Those skanky bugs, the palmetto bugs, those freaking cockroaches. Very easy to get rid of them, though. You just use that. We use this Pet Safe insecticide. You spray it around the outside of the house. You spray it around the inside of the house. If you see one, there's 100.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. So you spray it, and like within an hour, you find them laying on their back with their legs going.
Oh, nice.
Because they're being poisoned to death by this stuff. When it dries, it off gases.
Right.
And it's a nerve gas to those things.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't do it like on a monthly basis, and then you find one, you got to do it, and then you'll see they'll literally they'll come out of the walls, they'll come out from underneath the dishwasher. They're hiding in places.
Yeah, right.
If you're on it, I do it every month. There's not a bug in the house.
Okay.
It's awesome. So it's not a problem at all. But there's stuff outside. There's different types of snakes. Every now and then you'll catch a snake.
Yeah.
You go to walk to the car, and something slithers out of the flower bed.
Well, yeah. Did you say you had one in the pool a little while ago?
Yeah. We had a one in the pool, but it was again, it's the kind that eats other bugs. It's a safe one. I think it was the one with a red stripe or something, or a yellow stripe. I forget. Barb knows more about them than me, believe it or not.
My pool is almost 95 degrees.
Yeah, my pool's really hot too. It's like bath water. It's terrible.
Like a sauna.
Yep. It's horrible.
You need to stop by and get
It's
about
been crazy
5 bags of ice.
Yeah. I was telling the guys at the shop, I said, when I leave the shop, I said, no, I'm going home, getting right in the pool. So the problem is now I'm so hot, I get in the pool and I raise the temperature another 10 degrees.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. But I don't care how hot it is. It still feels good. Well, Lee is tapping out. See you, Lee.
He's down to 3%, and he's got a burger and a beer hanging. That's nice.
That's good. You know, I tell you something. Last week, I'm a nut. I love charcoal barbecues. You know, and we just don't do it because we got the gas grill and my wife cooks. But so last week, earlier in the week, I said, hey, you know what? We're just gonna make like a hot dog at night. I said, I got 2 Weber charcoal grills. One's a small one, one's a bigger one. So I'll just take the small one. We'll just make a couple hot dogs. So we did. And my wife said, wow, you know, tasted really good. It tasted different than on the gas grill. Of course, we made marshmallows after that, right? Yeah. So then a couple nights later, I said, well, let's make some burgers. So Bubba Burgers, I took the big grill, charcoaled it up. And I said, you know, those freaking burgers, everybody agreed, those burgers tasted better on that charcoal. I said, yeah, because you're eating all that charcoal now, all the freaking.
It's different.
It is. It's
totally different. Propane makes them one way. Charcoal is a different way of going.
Definitely.
Yeah. I do that with between charcoal and then I have hardwood like oak or mesquite or if you want to do some fish on some like cherry wood or whatever.
Right.
Man. And then I have a smoker, a gas grill, a charcoal grill, and a fire pit. And when you do it on a fire pit, dude, that's the best right there, man.
I want to buy a flat top. My neighbor got one, like just a flat top grill, you know. That's good. You make anything on that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll get home and they'll say, oh, it's so late. What are you going to do? I said, we're cooking with wood. And that takes forever because you got to get everything, you know. But man, I tell you one thing, that's the best when you cook.
You know, you ever cook a burger in the smoker?
Oh yeah.
My buddy does it all the time. He puts them on there and they take like an hour to cook.
Yeah.
Give or take.
He makes them super low.
Yeah. And
he'll put them in there for like an hour. Like every 10 minutes he flips it.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah, you should actually.
And it's nice. It's still kind of rare in the middle. And it's got that
lay back on flipping them that soon.
Huh?
But it's even better the longer you go.
I learned a long time. A guy showed me on the charcoal barbecue. He says, you know, you don't flip the burgers the first time till they start. You see the blood on top of them.
Right.
When they start to bleed. That's when you flip them.
Yep.
Exactly.
But you know what I bought? Speaking of charcoal, I bought it years ago. It's like a flue that you fill with charcoal and you light it in this flue. It's like condenses it and like gets that charcoal heated really fast. Then you just dump it in the barbecue and like you're ready to cook.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I've seen that at Lowe's.
Yeah.
I do that with even when I do it with the wood chunks. I do that also.
Yeah.
I'll start them that way, or you can make your own with a coffee can. Just put punch holes in the bottom and dump them in the coffee can real fast.
Sure.
Helps you start it going. But yeah, I love cooking on the. Well, my smoker is almost 365.
Really?
That's every day. Come home. Sometimes, like if I'm doing a shoulder or a couple racks, I fill the hopper up, set it up, walk out the door, and when I get home, I pull the stuff off. 14 hours or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like we'll put stuff like in
what temperature do you run it for that if you're going to cook that long?
Yeah, we'll throw stuff like in a slow cooker in the house or in a crock pot and let it go for like all day, you know, and the meat just falls off the bone.
It's like 125, 155, 150, 170 around there.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
But like my burgers, what I do with my burgers, I'll put them in a smoker. Like I'll make them all up, put them in a smoker, maybe for about, I don't know, 45 minutes, and then I kick the smoker up to 500 degrees. And
get it crunchy on the outside?
Yeah, well, not really crunchy because, I mean, it's about 10 minutes later you're done. So.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be quick, yeah.
Yeah, it's just quick heat.
Yeah.
Brings it up, and it's real good. Like I said, well, if you knew me, I mean, you know, there's no complaints. I don't go hungry, so.
Right.
And nobody else here is starving, so.
Right.
Yeah. But I love, like I said, throw it on there and just walk away. Best thing ever.
That's cool.
So,
That's nice.
Bacon's insane, man. Put bacon on there, smoking it. Oh my
Really?
God. Yeah.
Nice.
Then you know it's good when the dog's making love to the smoker when you leave. Because it's got the drip bucket hanging
Yeah.
off the side. And both the dogs are over there like, horse in a trough. They're just licking that grease, man. That's so.
Oh God.
Wow.
All right, guys. I got credit cards to get ready, and
Yeah.
I got to find this anvil. I know I had one. I want to fix this gun tonight.
All right. Sounds good.
Oh, hey Ray, you'll probably see your package Monday.
Okay.
Okay, because I meant to send it off yesterday so you get it Saturday, but
Okay.
it went out this morning.
Here's something to look forward to.
So
Awesome.
and
Cool.
I had a bunch of goodies in there for you. So
Oh, I love goodies. Thank you.
so it'll be
Excellent.
you'll have some time to go through. You lock yourself in your office and
Yeah.
go through everything.
I'll sit then where it's air conditioned.
Yeah. Okay.
Gotta love the AC.
Yeah. All right. Time to go
All
to
right,
bed. All right, guys.
Catch you later.
All right. Bloop.
Yeah, this thing won't turn off.
This didn't turn off either.